It's already been a tumultuous postseason for many of the Xfinity Series teams. No reason to believe that will settle down today. The green flag for the playoff race from Talladega is next here on CW Sports.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's live commentary coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series at the Talladega Superspeedway for the running of the United Rentals 250. It is the second race of the round of 12 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs today, and a lot of those playoff drivers starting up at the front of the field. In fact, in the top 10, every driver in the playoffs qualified in those top 10 positions. We'll go through that starting lineup as well as the point standings here before the drop of the green flag for today's race. So we'll start things off, of course, first and foremost with the starting lineup. Jesse Love on the pole, and it is an all-RCR front row lockout as his teammate Austin Hill will be starting in the second place position. Love the winner at Talladega in the spring. Austin Hill, 3 super speedway / drafting track wins this season. Chandler Smith with Sheldon Creed, the Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota is in row 2. JGR does have a win on a super speedway this year, coming in the Daytona summer race a few months ago. AJ Allmendinger along with Parker Kligerman will line up in row number 3. We know Kligerman is very good here. A couple of truck wins at Talladega. Riley Herbst and Shane Van Gisbergen in row number 4. Row 5 for Eric Almirola and Cole Custer. Taylor Gray, Sam Mayer line up in row number 6. Anthony Alfredo, Justin Allgaier in row 7. In row number 8, it'll be Ryan Sieg with Jeb Burton. Josh Williams and Carson Kvapil back in the 88 car in row 9. Row 10 for Leland Honeyman and Brandon Jones. CJ McLaughlin, Dean Thompson will be driving the 26 car today on row 11. Row 12 for David Starr, Parker Retzlaff. Nick Lights and Jordan Anderson in row 13. Look out for Anderson. He's had some great runs on super speedways and truck and Xfinity Series competition in years past. And row 14, the last qualifying playoff driver, Sammy Smith, along with Jeremy Clements. Joey Gase, Brennan Poole in row 15. Behind them in row 16 will be Blaine Perkins, Ryan Ellis. Matt DiBenedetto, Kyle Sieg in row 17. Row 18 with Kyle Weatherman, Dylan Lupton. Carson Ware, Tommy Joe Martins round out the field in row number 19. And that is the full starting lineup for the 38-car field here today. Point standings will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the course of the race, but on the big screen I'll show you first and foremost the playoff standings as of right now. Again, 2 races to go in this round yet, today at Talladega and next Saturday at the Charlotte Roval. It's a 41-point cushion for Cole Custer as he is the first driver ahead on points as of right now. Chandler Smith is at plus 36 points, plus 26 for Austin Hill, plus 13 for Sam Mayer, plus 10 for Sheldon Creed, Shane Van Gisbergen plus 8, plus 3 for Jesse Love, Riley Herbst plus 1. Minus 1 point for Justin Allgaier. AJ Allmendinger is at minus 13, 10th in points. Parker Kligerman minus 15, and minus 23 for Sammy Smith, who starts deep in the field, as I already mentioned today. Last week's winner, Eric Almirola, trying to go for his 3rd win of the season, also in the field here today, and we know he is a good super speedway racer, as he does have a couple of Cup Series wins, in fact, on super speedways, one at Talladega in 2018, and in 2014 at Daytona in the summer race there. So look out for Eric Almirola in the field today to maybe try to spoil the playoff party for the second consecutive week here in this NASCAR Xfinity Series field. Cars are rolling off of pit road right now for some late updates. I'll let you listen into the CW broadcast. Again, CW broadcasting the rest of the NASCAR Xfinity Series races for this season and as well as the next 7 years through the next TV contract as well.
Hey, because there are no easy races in the NASCAR playoff thing.
Party standing here, I have a good look at what happens over there so often coming out of turn number 4. It's called the big one. It is a crash that involves multiple cars at Talladega Superspeedway, and so often you don't even have any idea it started. And when you're behind it, you don't have any idea where to go. You might have been trying to be helpful to your teammate, pushing him through. Well, guess what? You couldn't see this all happening. You get in the wreck too. The big one happens often. It even happens early when they race at Talladega. And Kim, it's definitely going to happen today.
Well, Dave, every driver wants to end up in victory lane, but crossing the finish line first is a little different at Talladega. From above, Talladega looks almost identical to Daytona. But take a look at this graphic. We're going to throw up a pylon that says Daytona. The key difference, where the start-finish line is. If we place Daytona here, that would be where the start-finish line is. But here at Talladega, we are going to go all the way, almost into turn 1. Those extra 1,600 250 feet of racetrack help build the drama, create the biggest upsets, and put an absolute show on for the fans. Guys, we've seen some of the closest finishes and wildest.
It's great to come to this racetrack. It's the biggest NASCAR oval at 2.66 miles, and the high speeds and proximity their competitors makes this second race in the playoffs maybe the most stressful of all year. It's NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff, Talladega Superspeedway, United Rentals 250. And welcome once again alongside our crew chief, Steve Letarte, the mayor, Jeff Burton, Rick Allen with you. Steve, let's start off with the race is shorter at only 250 miles, and you're putting all the cars in close proximity. Doesn't that equal chaos?
Chaos for sure. What you're going to see out here on these high banks is chaotic, but by no means is it random. Every driver out there has the guts to go out there and do what you're going to see, but some have more skill. Some lean into this style of racing. It is not random on who's good. Every driver can win, but some drivers' opportunity to win is much higher, and that's because of the skill behind the wheel.
I mentioned the word stressful, Jeff. Now we have the second race of the playoffs with only the Roval in front of us. That has to add to the stress as well coming here.
Well, it really does, especially if you're the guys at the front of the pack, right? Some guys feel like they're in pretty good shape. Cole Custer, Chandler Smith, they want to come out here and not hit anything. They want a good, solid day. The other side of that, Sammy Smith way down at the bottom. This is a good opportunity for him. A little bit of chaos would help him. Parker Clingman and A.J. Allmendinger, they're both very good at this kind of racing. They could leave here in much better shape than they came in.
Qualifying happened this morning. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Again, for this United Rentals 250 from Talladega, it is an RCR front row. Jesse Love, who won the race here earlier this year, alongside Austin Hill, who has dominated on the super speedways.
Eric Almirola was qualified in row 5, and that's where he's rolling around the racetrack. Because of an infraction with NASCAR, they'll have to drop to the rear, and they'll also have to do a captain-friendly pit under green. We'll see if he can recover.
For this back of the playoff drivers, as far as starting position, Sam Smith, all the way back in row 14. Sammy Smith definitely needs something big to happen here, as he right now is sitting 12th of the 12 drivers. He needs to get up to 8. Marty.
Rick, it'll be interesting to watch Riley Herbst today, who has quietly become one of the better drafting track drivers. In fact, here at Talladega, Herbst has 3 finishes of 11th or better in his last 4 Talladega starts, including second here in the spring. When he and I talked this morning, he told me he's been working really hard on his super speedway craft, and he could use a good finish today, Kim. Herbst is just 1 point above the cut line.
Well, you heard Rick talk about Sammy Smith. He qualified the slowest of the playoff drivers all the way back in the 27th position. Every other playoff driver starts 14th or better. But crew chief Philip Bell told me there's no concern. This was by design. He said the car is set up for security in the race, not trimmed out for speed and qualifying. This was the key because comfort in the pack is so dependent on the balance of the car, and Sammy needs that comfort in order to have confidence to make big moves in the draft, Dave.
Tim Shane Van Gisbergen starts 8th, and we all know that he is great on the road courses, like the one coming up next week at the Roval. But I asked him, are you comfortable on the drafting tracks yet? He said, nope. And then he paused, and then he smiled, and he said, that's going to take a lot more laps, but I'll be better this time than I was last time. The 97 driver is not afraid to make moves. He's just afraid that he won't make the ones he knows how, and he hasn't learned all that he needs to get on this very technical drafting track.
Yeah, Dave, he always says that when he goes back to a racetrack, he feels a little more comfortable. So he's already been here before, and this will be the second time this year that he's been here to Talladega. All right, Jeff, let's take a look at the keys to Mobil 1 victory lane.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to win this race, but some things you have to do. We've talked about it. There's always a big wreck. You have to survive that. Track position matters. If you get that track position, you have got to fight to keep it. You've got to be there late in the race. If not, you can't win it. And then know when to be aggressive. You got to recognize your surroundings, recognize your situation, be willing to be aggressive, but only do it at the right time.
Teams making their way down pit road right now, and they're checking their pit road speed. Let's listen into the radio of the 98 of Riley Herbst. A little pep talk here.
All right, buddy. Ain't nobody in this field. I'd rather work with you. So let's clean all day long. Let's have some fun. Get there to the thing all day and be there at the end for your race. So hang your toes all day long.
Can you pick a favorite when you come to this racetrack? I mean, I know we've talked about Austin Hill and his successes, but his best finish here is 14th. So would he be a favorite when you come here, or maybe Eric Almirola, who's won here before?
I look at Eric Almirola as the favorite to me just because of experience, so many races in Cup. I think what you're going to see here is going to be pretty breathtaking, but some, Jeff, have done it so much it just becomes kind of a natural reaction. You know, these aren't, some are calculated moves, but some are reactionary moves onto what the track's doing around you.
I like Jesse Love, the two-car. He won the race here in the spring. Teammates lost Hill, RCR power, tons of speed. I like his chances.
Dave, we talk RCR and Austin Hill. He's been the most successful on these tracks.
I think everybody likes his chances, especially when he qualifies on the front row again. But remember what he said in his post-qualifying interview. It's going to be slick. We'll be moving around a lot more, and it could really affect us, especially when you are getting the push. Starting at the front like that, he's still going to get pushed. But if he has to start through the pack, he'll know later on whether that heat is really going to affect him. The driver summed it up by saying, we're pretty good today. I think, Marty, I think they will be.
Well, a driver that's in a pretty good spot, like Chandler Smith, plus 36 above the cut line. Talking to Chandler and the team this morning, their thought process is, listen, we just want a clean Talladega, just some stage points and a nice finish. So it's not always, Rick, about the teams that need desperate moves. Sometimes at Talladega, you just want to survive the day and move on.
Survive the day. Well, how about get to victory lane? We know that the 2 team has done that before. Let's listen into their radio.
Car driver, ain't doing it here, boys. Fun doing it. Thank you for hard work, guys. So we talked about no mistake, and we know what to do. Get the pressure off our shoulders here.
Is it possible? Can you get the pressure off your shoulders? The lights are off on the pace car. He'll make the left-hand turn onto pit road and put the field back in the hands of Jesse Love. He's going to start on the outside of row 1. Austin Hill will be on the inside.
All right, so the defending winner of the race, who's going to try to go back-to-back again, starting on the pole, that being Jesse Love, leads the field to the green, and we are underway at Talladega Superspeedway for the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff race. Waited till the end of that restart zone to really get that launch. Austin Hill down on the bottom lane of the racetrack, still door-to-door after crossing the start-finish line. We'll see if one will let the other in front. Not a lot of pushing behind Sheldon Creed in that 18 car, who was outside of row 2 starting 4th. He did not give a push to Jesse Love, so Austin Hill leads the field through the center of turns 1 and 2, and Love falls back to a side-by-side battle for 3rd off the exit of that corner. Going for the lead on the back straightaway. Chandler Smith in the 81 to the outside. 21 goes up to mirror drive and block on the opening lap. 25 laps in the first stage of this race here today at Talladega. Stages 1 and 2, each 25 laps. Final stage 44, which will put us right at the edge of that pit window to make it on fuel in stage 3 when we get there. A lot more cars on the outside than the inside at the very front of the field. Hill controls the pack in the center of the tri-oval. From the second starting spot, Austin Hill leads lap 1. So already a lead change on the opening lap of the race, while Jesse Love crossed the start-finish line in 4th at the end of the first lap. He's the 3rd car in line on the outside. Pass-through penalty for the 20 of Eric Almirola.
Rolling down pit road, all by himself on the racetrack. He'll be 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds slower than these cars that are packed together.
So it'll be interesting to see if Almirola stays on the lead lap to the end of this first stage. Caution would bail him out for sure, but if we stay green, the hope would be if he does go a lap down that he's the only car that loses the lead draft and goes a lap down, he can get the free pass at lap 25. The 20 car of Almirola is in the owners' playoffs, and after winning last week's race at Kansas, that did propel the 20 team to the round of 8 of the owners' playoffs. So really just going for more playoff points today is all that's on the forefront for that race team. But as far as the 12 drivers and the drivers' point side of things, they're obviously racing for a win here today too. Some of the other non-playoff drivers could very much be in contention throughout as well. But Austin Hill has led these first couple laps of the race, still leading back straightaway. Strain of about 7-8 cars in the middle groove down the backstretch, only about 3 or 4 down to the double yellow line. Towards the back half of the top 10 and just beyond that. Front of the field, A.J. Allmendinger in the 16 car trying to lead the bottom groove of cars. Staying pretty strong despite the lack in numbers. Side drafts in the center of the tri-oval with Austin Hill. Try to stay nose-to-nose with him. Hill leads that lap at the line again. There's about a 2-car length gap between Allmendinger and the next car in line behind him of Riley Herbst in the 98. We know Chandler Smith to be aggressive, but he's not going to be aggressive with where he's at right now. He wants to keep those two RCR cars separated. He's the lone car between the 21 and the 2 as of right now, and has been since the opening lap of the race. Looking on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen on the CW. In-car cam from Austin Hill. Camera pointed at the driver, looking at the mirror all the way down the back straightaway. AJ Allmendinger with a massive, massive run through turns 3 and 4, able to clear high off the exit of the corner. And AJ, to the start-finish line, should lead his first lap of the race. Still holds clear on the 21 car to the top, controls the lines for a little bit down the front stretch. Again, Riley Herbst in the 98 is also up there in contention. Back down to the double yellow line in the middle of the corner. And Hill brings that outside line near the wall down to the bottom to try to side draft the inside line that's starting to propel a little bit by the 21. Riley Herbst from the inside lane clears high on Austin Hill as well, down the back straightaway. And the 16, obviously, in mirror driving does the same to hold on to the lead. Big block by Sam Mayer in the 1 on top of Ryan Sieg, who had a big push from Anthony Alfredo in the 5 on the back straightaway. Well, bump drafting in the center of the corner between the 39 and the 1, and now Mayer's got a massive shot on the front stretch. It'll go to the bottom 3 wide as he splits the 16 of Allmendinger. Looks like the 19 of Taylor Gray. Gray in the 19 car was the one that got split 3 wide middle. AJ stayed along the top side the entire time. And AJ actually led that last lap at the line over Mayer, who was scored second by 23 one-thousandths of a second. Gray finds himself in the outside line as his teammate Sheldon Creed lets him in the 10th place position. Bump draft now for the 98 to the 16. Can't lock bumpers in the Xfinity or Truck Series. Kind of push there for a few seconds, let go, push again for a few seconds, let go, but they don't want to lock bumpers like you can at the next level in the Cup Series, like we'll be seeing tomorrow. Working lap 7, this time by at the line, Sam Mayer taking the race lead in the center of the tri-oval. First lap led for Mayer, 3rd different leader, and the early going of today's NASCAR Xfinity Series United Rentals 250 at Talladega. Side-by-side commercial break. Remember, only side-by-side green flag commercial breaks for this weekend's Xfinity and Cup Series races. So we'll continue our live commentary portion of this race going on right now as they continue to battle for the lead. Ryan Sieg going to split Sam Mayer 3 wide. Middle, same thing that happened when Mayer went low to put the 19 car at the time of Taylor Gray. And what Darrell Waltrip would say the sucker hole would be. And see if Mayer can find himself back on the outside line at some point here. And it looks like the 88 potentially of Carson Kvapil going to give up a hole on the outside for Mayer. But Mayer doesn't take it. He stays on the bottom. And he'll draft down there instead. Interesting. There was definitely a big enough gap, but I would imagine the 88 was holding back to let him in. Mayer continues on the bottom. Maybe likes it a little better down there. Was able to make some moves to get to the front of the field, lead a lap or two. Now has fallen out of the top 10. Again, those stage points so important. Only paid out to the top 10 at the end of stages 1 and 2. Mayer being a playoff driver needs to get back up there. He's currently scored 18th. So Allmendinger took the lead that last lap at the line. Ryan Sieg, although he challenged for the lead going 3 wide at the bottom, did not lead a lap in the transition. And this time by at the line, the 16 will be clear of the 39 as well, but still stays on the outside. Right in front of Riley Herbst in the 98. Herbst has had some great speed on super speedways the last couple years also. Really the bigger tracks as a whole. Seems like Custer and Herbst have had a lot of speed. Even the bigger intermediate tracks, 2 miles, 2.5 miles in length, the Pocono, Indianapolis, Michigan, with a restricted horsepower package. That 98 car obviously winning at Indy with a modified restrictor plate package. Michigan, Cole Custer led a lot of laps. More of a fight from Sieg through 3 and 4 this time. And he is going to lead this lap at the line by about 1/10 of a second with Anthony Alfredo. Actually, that was the last lap. The last lap was led by Ryan Sieg. This one led by Jesse Love up at the front of the field, who made a run for the race lead. 16 laps to go, stage one. As of right now, top 10 at the line that last time. Jesse Love out in front, AJ Allmendinger in second, Austin Hill third, Ryan Sieg fourth, and Anthony Alfredo in fifth. Sixth place for Riley Herbst, Chandler Smith seventh, Parker Kligerman eighth, Sammy Smith ninth, and Justin Allgaier 10th. 3x3 now at the front of the field for the first time today. Very minimally, we saw this in the final stage of the truck race yesterday, but 3 wide here in stage one in this Xfinity Series race on a Saturday afternoon. Up in the top 10. Pretty much from about third place on back. Top two cars of Love and Allmendinger clear at the front of the field. 21 of Austin Hill trying to get back up towards the race lead. A little Georgia native Ryan Sieg still to his outside. Nobody in the middle groove between those two cars anymore. That lane faded a bit over the last half a lap or so. So now Jesse Love controls the pace down on the double yellow line on the inside of the racetrack. 16 car of AJ Allmendinger, still the second car in line down on the bottom.
As he is heading into the trial bowl, he's about to get some help from the 98 of Riley Herbst. We'll see if that will push him up here in contention for the lead. He's going to get by the 16 of Allmendinger, but with no help behind him, that might be as far as he goes.
He gets sidetracked down the back straightaway. We can slow that inside line down, and here comes the help. All of these cars are coming with a great deal of speed.
Riley Herbst in the 98, he got shuffled out. There's the 20, by the way, just left the bottom of your screen. Eric Almirola about to get lapped by this pack.
Yeah, he's over 2 seconds slower by himself. But if the pack catches him 2 wide, it shouldn't be an issue. But if they're 3 wide when they catch him, you know, that 4 wide gets very, very narrow here at Talladega. Not a lot of room. You can pull it off, just not a lot of room for error. For Almirola, as long as another car doesn't go a lap down, he'll be awarded the free pass at the end of the stage. So he, you know, his risk of trying to jump on the front of this pack would probably be lower. I think he's going to take less risk with the big block, probably just allow him to draft past him and put him a lap down.
Yeah, there are several cars that are out there running by themselves. I don't know if the pack will catch them and lap them and then keep Eric Almirola from being the first car lap down. But this is crazy. This race, with the shortened distance, has created the intensity to go and have to go right now. And you're seeing drivers willing to do things we haven't seen them willing to do early in these Xfinity races.
And we know that each position is a point. Well, at the end of stage one, you can receive up to 10 points if you win the stage, and all the way down to 1 point if you finish 10th in that stage. Everyone's trying to collect points, especially those right now in the playoffs, because you've got to be above the top 4 in points if you don't want to be eliminated at the end of the race next week at the Roval.
And Jesse Love and AJ Allmendinger are 2 of those guys, right? They're 2 guys that, Love's 3 points to the good. Allmendinger's minus 13. So these points are really important. Dave.
Eric Almirola, after he gets past here and lapped, he's looking for guys to race with that aren't going to get lapped. He knows that the Gase cars, Joey Gase and Carson Ware, a ways behind here, are not slow enough to get lapped. He's going to try to link up with them after all the field goes by here.
Yeah, so for the 20, it's just hold your line on the bottom, on the yellow line. Even if you kind of get picked up by maybe the 1, I don't think you want to be in this pack. Don't get a wreck. You know, you're not racing any of these guys for position. Just get through this first stage and kind of reset the race. Just a reminder, if you weren't here at the beginning, he had an infraction and inspection that required a pass-through penalty under green. So first lap of the race, he came down pit road, rolled pit road, and that's why he's off the pace and a lap down.
And when a caution comes out, if he is the highest scored lap down car, which right now he's the only lap down car that's on the track, you get your lap back. You get a free pass. So that is what he is hoping now, is that he's in that free pass position, be back on the lead lap after a caution.
So now coming to 10 to go in this stage. as a driver, there's something about that 10 to go seed that tells me I've got to ramp my intensity up. I know this stage is coming to an end quickly. We've already seen a lot of aggressive driving, a lot of blocking. If that gets much more aggressive, it could get ugly.
Here, Austin Hill just working the throttle a little bit. That's purely to try to keep from
10 laps to go in stage 1. Jesse Love continues to lead as he has for quite some time now. We look down on our laps led chart. He's led 2 different times for 7 laps. It's the most laps led of these first 16 completed. AJ Allmendinger Smith. It allows for AJ to get underneath him on the back straightaway. And now to the inside into turns 3 and 4. Interesting move there from Jesse. Austin Hill in the 21 car, second car in the bottom lane just behind the 16. 3 wide a little bit further back. Edge of the top 10 right now. Sam Mayer's in the third line trying to lead. Only a couple cars behind him at the moment. Wait and see if anybody maybe moves up in front or follows in line behind to get that lane going forward in a faster pace, but not seeing that at the point in time. Nose to nose and tight for the lead. Off turn 2. Again, Allmendinger leads the inside. Jesse Love leads the top. Justin Allgaier in the 7. A big push to the back of the 81 to get him closer to the 2 car. 81 in the 7 of Smith and Allgaier. Second and third in that second line. And the first line of cars down on the double yellow. Again, behind the 16 car of AJ Allmendinger, you've got Austin Hill and the 5 of Anthony Alfredo down there as well. You can vote for who you think is going to win this NASCAR Xfinity Series race as usual. Our poll closes at the end of stage 2. And as of right now, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it says only 2 votes have been casted so far. Let me refresh the page. Yeah, it says only 2 votes have been casted so far. Let me know if you guys can see the poll in the chat, because there are not many votes that have been casted on that so far. If for some reason you can't see it, I'll end it and then re-upload another poll. Those 2 both taking Sheldon Creed. Try to get his first career Xfinity Series win here today. Shout out to those of you watching down in the chat below. You got Robert Goodrich, Matthew Dorta Bruno, Frank Powers, Billy Kramer, and Beliza Bambino. Thanks for tuning in. Blond1771, thanks for tuning in as well. Yeah, it still says two votes. Down in the chat poll. I see one of you guys in the chat voted. I'm surprised that there's only 2 though. Dave W, thanks for tuning in. It's not right. Voted Austin Hill, doesn't show somehow. Okay, I'll end it and then I'll re-upload another poll. Oh, well now it says 37 votes. Okay, so it was accurate. I just couldn't see it as well. You guys couldn't see the voting poll either. I'll put another one up. Give me a second. Let's see here. Other. Yeah, now it ended at show 37. Yeah, that's weird. It was doing that on my end too. I'll put the same options as what we just had. And then you can vote again. There we go. Hopefully we don't have that same glitch this time around. Get the leaderboard back up for you guys now. 5 laps to go in stage 1. Things getting testy at the front of the field. I'll close that new poll out with 20 laps left in the race. I'll leave it open for quite some time. Usually it's at the end of stage 2, but just because of the wonkiness we had with it the first time around, we'll leave it up until 20 to go today, later in the race. Let's hope that all 3 of those options are still in it at that point. 4 laps to go now at the line here at stage 1. Very tight door-to-door. Chandler Smith and Jesse Love at the front of the field. Chandler Smith by inches led that last lap at the line. Smith leads the outside while Jesse Love continues to lead the bottom as he's done for most of this stage while he has been out in front. Justin Allgaier, who was on the top at one point, has found himself down to the WL line behind the 2. 2 pops up off the WL line just a bit on the exit of turn 2, and now he's stuck in the middle groove. And Austin Hill does not go to the middle to pick up his teammate. Brandon Jones is back there, but a little ways. And that is where the momentum will be stalled out enough for Jesse. So he doesn't fall completely out of the top 10, but pretty close. And that allows for Chandler Smith to clear at the front of the field. 3 to go this time by for Chandler. And he's got a couple of his RCR teammates working the outer line now. Sheldon Creed, Taylor Gray are up there as they try to push forward. 26, another Toyota, Dean Thompson for Sam Hunt Racing, also in that second groove. Jesse Love hops out of the middle groove down to the very top lane, 3 wide. Very aggressively trying to find his way back to the front of the field. This lead pack only has 18 cars in it. And then a lot of other drivers scraggling further back in the field. So really only half the field is up here right now, battling for these stage points. The only playoff driver that isn't in that predicament to try to get stage points in this lead pack is Shane Van Gisbergen back at 23rd. But he would be the only one, outside of course, playoff driver for the owner standing side of things, the 20 team, driven by Eric Almirola again here this afternoon. Can Chandler Smith hold on for the stage win? Just in front of Allgaier again at the line, 2 laps to go. Sheldon Creed side by side for 3rd with Allmendinger at this point in time. Needs to get a big push from behind to start moving forward. Off the exit of the corner. Moving a little bit higher. Just trying to get that much more of a run off the bank into the corner. But Gray just cannot get close enough to that back bumper of Sheldon Creed to get him the push needed to really start to move forward. I don't think there's enough cars in that second line. I think that's part of the problem. Only 3 of them packed in really close together. Maybe 5 or 6 of them total in that line. Now they're starting to get a little closer on the front stretch to one another. 1 lap to go in the stage now for Chandler Smith. More cars all of a sudden in the second line. And that's what Sheldon Creed needs to try to make a run for this stage win. Pulls to the outside of second place Justin Allgaier. They side draft each other. They're holding each other up a bit. SHR Ford's to the outside. Cole Custer and Riley Herbst down the back straightaway, and they've got momentum. Jesse Love behind them. The 19 thought about going up the block and didn't. The 18 does. Gray loses a couple spots in the middle groove. Big run for Justin Allgaier after a massive push from the 16. Center of 3 and 4. Goes to the outside but doesn't have a lot of help. 16 stayed down to the bottom. Smith clear off turn 4 still. Pulling out ahead of the pack, he's got about a 2-car length advantage. Center of the tri-oval, Allmendinger gets a push from the 21 of Austin Hill now. Out of the exit of the tri-oval, a block to the high side, and that's all he needs. Chandler Smith wins stage 1 here at Talladega. AJ Allmendinger 2nd, Justin Allgaier 3rd, Austin Hill 4th, and Sheldon Creed 5th. Anthony Alfredo 6th, Taylor Gray 7th, Sam Mayer 8th, Cole Custer 9th. And Dean Thompson rounds out the top 10. And that is your stage 1 results. And all the top 10 drivers receiving stage points in stage 1 of today's United Rentals 250 at the Talladega Superspeedway. Take a look at the season stats here to see how many stage wins that gives Chandler Smith on the year. That's the 7th stage win of the year now for Chandler Smith, 2nd most of the Xfinity Series regulars. Still only half as many as what the current leader, Justin Allgaier, has with 14. Just went from 9 votes down to 5. I have 13 on my end right now. If you voted in the first poll, be sure to vote again. I had to close it out because it was a little wonky. And even if there has been more than 13 votes, I'm just going to leave this one open until the end of stage 2 because I'd assume when I end it again, it'll probably show the rest of the voting results. Local Detroit CW is showing weather disasters, so I'm glad this is how I can see what happens. Well, hopefully everything's well up there. Not too far north of where I live, so I've got my coverage on this side of things, so appreciate everybody tuning in. David Conley, also thanks for tuning into the stream. Patty and Rumdy Creations. We'll have 2 diecast showings on today's stream. Here's the first one. We got Talladega winners for this weekend's diecast showings. I didn't do one yesterday during the truck race. I didn't give myself a chance to at the end of stage 2, so that's why we're doing 2 today. Our first former Talladega winner is that of Michael Waltrip. He is a 2002 Talladega winner in his NASCAR Cup Series career. All of his wins came on super speedways, all 5 of them. 4 of which, at Daytona. Or sorry, 2 of them at Talladega, I should say. 3 at Daytona, 2 in the Daytona 500 in 01 and 03, but again, former Talladega winner. This diecast specifically is from 2001 and his DEI days. Same paint scheme he would have won the Daytona 500 with back in 2001. For some reason, I don't know why I said it like that. For some reason, the windows and everything are tinted on this car. I don't know why that is with whoever made this diecast, but I always liked the Napa colors, and I thought the best Napa schemes were on this DEI 15 car back in the day, and here we go. So that is our diecast showing from technically yesterday. We'll have another one at the end of stage 2 today, and obviously at the end of stage 2 again tomorrow. We'll be seeing our first pit stops of the race coming up shortly. You're listening live on the KRC network right here on YouTube. The NASCAR Xfinity Series United Rentals 250.
It was brought to you by United Rentals, official equipment rental partner of NASCAR. Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express card. And by Toyota. Let's go places. Here is the Mobile One leaderboard. After stage 1 is complete, Chandler Smith, Allmendinger, Allgaier, Hill, and Creed all top 5. Let's take a look at the stage points earned. Very big for drivers like Paul Geyer, who was below the line. Allmendinger also below that playoff cut line.
Yeah, so we talked about Jesse Love losing spots, and here he is, battling for the lead. He gets his car off the bottom of the racetrack, and you're not going to give a guy like Justin Allgaier that look. He's going to take that spot, and he went from battling for the lead back to finishing 15th place. So that's a massive difference in the loss of stage points. Kim, you just cannot make that mistake.
Oh, and this was on Jesse's list. He told me 2 goals, make high quality moves, and don't let people shut me out because it seems to be a pattern at these tracks. Here was the feedback from the team.
React fast. Needs to react faster to your fan.
So you heard veteran crew chief Danny Stockman talk about Jesse needing to react faster to spotter Brandon Benesh's cues.
And the whole field about ready to head onto the progressive pit road, and they'll come to you first, Dave.
Austin Hill finished 4th, Rick. 7 stage points for him, but it was a struggle. He called the car out of control. Darty, I have no idea what the car is going to do. I cannot turn the steering wheel without trying to spin out. They're going to make a big adjustment here. He's already been told it's going to be a lengthy pit stop.
AJ Allmendinger top right here screen. 3 points grab for him in this first stage. He said it's free, definitely free. Lots of rubber on the racetrack. He said it's hot and flake. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, no go fuel, Marty.
14th to 3rd for Justin Allgaier, who said, we're pretty quick, but I have to put a lot of wheel into it in the corners to get it to turn. Chandler Smith, meanwhile, with the stage win, he said, out front the car just, quote, feels draggy. How about the no tire stop call for the 2 team? Danny Stockman, Jesse Love re-inherits the lead.
That race off progressive pit road, you see 14 spots for Love, a loss of 1 position over Chandler Smith, and Sheldon Creed's team grabs in 2 spots.
4 spots lost for Anthony Alfredo and Austin Hill in the top 10. And for Hill, he had a very slow stop, 19.2 seconds, the reason why he lost those 4 positions. Surprised he didn't lose more, to be completely honest. A lot of 4-tire stops, but those that won the race off pit road, Jesse Love taking fuel only, gaining 14 positions after finishing 15th at the end of stage 1. A couple of 2-tire stops for those just behind him in the running order for this upcoming restart. And obviously everybody hitting pit road right now so they can make it on fuel to the end of stage 2, because if you haven't pitted yet, you're obviously not going to make it. And clearly we didn't see anybody on pit road before that. And a pre-series at the Talladega Superspeedway today. Will we see a first-time Xfinity Series winner? Our first poll that had 37 votes looked like somebody other than Hill, Creed, or Love was voted the most to get the win at 43%. 29% of those votes taking Austin Hill, 16% for Creed, Jesse Love at 10%. And it looks to be somewhat similar in this next poll of the 15 votes that were casted again as well. Same options, other at 47% now. Sheldon Creed at 27%, at 13% for Jesse Love and Austin Hill. So a little bit more votes for the top option, a lot less for Hill, and a lot more for Sheldon Creed than what we had initially. How many cars will flip today? Or geez. Hopefully none. Not a common theme this NASCAR season. We've seen quite a few. Across all 3 series, for that matter. Especially over the last couple months. We had 2 of them at Michigan. One in the Xfinity race, one in the Cup race. Then that next week at Daytona saw a couple more cars catch some air in the Cup event. Talladega earlier in the spring. Yeah, hopefully we have cars staying on all 4 here this weekend. So far, incident free. The first caution, lap 25, stage end. Just like the truck race yesterday, through the first 20 laps of stage 1, ended up going caution free there as well. Only had 6 cautions in that race yesterday. 5 of them were for incident from the end of stage 2 on, though. So we'll see if that's going to be the theme here in today's Xfinity race as well. With a younger crop of drivers, just like we'd see on Fridays and sometimes Saturdays with the Truck Series slate of drivers as well.
CW Sports Saturday next week, starting at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, only on the CW. Dave, what about Austin Hill in that first stage?
He was told it would be a lengthy pit stop, lost 4 positions there while they worked in the car, but listen to his radio before he came to the pits.
I am like literally out of control. Like my hands are killing me because I'm terrible. I have no idea what brain for stop to do.
They made a series of adjustments during that stop, and at the end of the stop, the crew, who normally does not lose any spots on pit road, was just a little bit frustrated, a little bit celebrating. They knew they had to give up time to try to make this car right. Get out here, get back out there. Remember, guys, this is one of the fastest crews, the fastest crew in the NASCAR Xfinity Series all season.
Yeah, they have gained Austin Hill numerous spots throughout the season. And so when they have to make added adjustments and a little slower pit stop, obviously frustrating for them. But if it makes the car faster and more competitive, then in the end, it's going to reap the benefits.
If there's ever a track you can give up 4 spots, this is the one. You have to have your driver in control. You don't want the car driving the driver.
And Steve, it's one of those racetracks where you can find a great deal of speed, but the sacrifice is drivability. And we talk about it. Normally, drivability isn't that big of a deal here, but you can cross that edge where you're worried so much about just raw speed that the driver now doesn't have the control he wants. And without that, you cannot be aggressive. When a hole opens up, you can't just go in that hole and go make something happen because you're afraid you're going to wreck. And It you do take some speed away potentially and making the car drive better, but it lets the driver do what he needs to do. That's what you got to make happen.
Marty, is Chandler Smith and that 81 team, are they feeling good about the win of stage one?
Yeah, I think they feel good about getting those stage points and the playoff point in the bank as well, Rick, for Chandler Smith and the 81 team. Before that last pit stop, he gave an update on the handling and also what's happening in the side of the car. Listen.
Super draggy when people get close to pushing me and throwing the parachute out today. The throttle pedal's already burnt my foot.
So, Jeff, that last part is what I want to focus on. He said the throttle pedal has already burnt his foot, and we're only 30 laps into this race. There's 64 laps to go in this race, and he can't lift off the throttle here at Talladega. So if you ever had a situation like that where literally the throttle pedal is burning your foot.
Yes, and if it's going to happen anywhere, it will most likely be here because your foot's on it all the time. I actually, once I go through the gears like he's getting ready to do, you have to come off the throttle. I would actually use my heel, take my foot, the ball of my foot off of it, and just push with my heel.
Just a reminder, the free pass went to the 20 of Eric Almirola. He's back on the lead lap. He will be in contention, I'm sure, of winning it.
All right, green flag back in the air. Stage 2 will begin. Ran 6 laps of yellow during that caution period, so we are working lap 7 of 25 in stage 2 right now, lap 32 of 94 in total in the race. Jesse Love outside of row 1 for the restart, just as he was the initial start of the race. Third different time Love has led now. But again, he was one of the only drivers that did not take any tires. Some of them at the front of the field taking rights only to gain track position as well, or maintain it if they were already in the top 10. And several others going with 4 tires in the back half of the top 10 and through the rest of the field. Love lane changing a little bit on the back straightaway. Bottom lane left open at least through the center of 3 and 4 for Chandler Smith to pull right back to the inside of the driver, the number 2. Working lap 8 in stage 2 this time by. Shane Van Gisbergen into the third lane. The tail end of that lead pack of cars. Jesse Love leads the first green flag lap of stage 2 and clear back to the bottom into turn 1 on the 81 to the inside. Going to try to make sure he doesn't get split 3 wide middle again like he did back in stage 1 in the late going. That resulted in him not getting a single stage point, fell from leading the race back to 15th at that time in the closing laps and never got back in the top 10. Seems to be going to the bottom of the racetrack more often than not in the center of the corners and then back to the top on the straightaways. Though that last time through 3 and 4 he ran the top all the way through. Custer with a push to the back of the 7 of Allgaier, center of the tri-oval. Allgaier trying to get a run after Love for the lead. As Love leads that lap, Allgaier going to stay patient on the top still. When I say the top, they're really running the middle groove all the way around the racetrack. The top lane near the wall is just a little bit further back in the pack. There's about 4 or 5 cars up there near the wall in the outside lane. And they're starting to gain some numbers all of a sudden down the back straightaway. A lot of lane changing going on because everybody was even on the double yellow line moving up to the middle, trying to side draft the line of cars who was initially in the middle back to the top. Top 3 cars, maybe 4 clear, center of the corner on the outer lane. As the rookie Jesse Love tries to go for the Talladega sweep here today. How about that? Your only 2 wins of your rookie season in the Xfinity Series, both coming at Talladega. Again, those RCR cars so quick in the Xfinity Series level on this style of racetrack. We've seen Austin Hill win a plethora of races over the last couple years in that 21 car. On tracks just like this, including here in the spring last season. 3 wide middle finds Parker Kligerman, as well as Brandon Jones to pick him up in the draft. Riley Herbst, Sammy Smith, and Sam Mayer, a few playoff drivers down the double yellow line to the bottom. A few other drivers moved down in front of him in the center of the corner. They were 3 by 3 most of the way through the field in the middle of the late going to stage 1. Haven't seen that all the way through the field now. A little bit of 4 wide in the center of the tri-oval after a single file line all of a sudden of about 6 or 7 cars leads the way at the front of the field. Still 4 wide center of the tri-oval from about 7th, 8th on back all of a sudden. Sheldon Creed got pinched down on that double yellow line AJ Allmendinger there. They've funneled down to 3x3 now in that area of the pack. Further back. But as they run 3 and 4 wide back there, it just allows for the outside lane to grow in numbers on a continuous basis. All the way back to Taylor Gray in the 10th place position, all single file now at the front of the field. 14 laps to go in stage 2 this time by. And there are playoff drivers outside the top 10 trying to find their way in it. SVG is sitting in 12th. Riley Herbst 13th. Parker Kligerman 14th. 16th rather. Chandler Smith, Sheldon Creed 17th. Parker Kligerman 19th and Sammy Smith 20th. Sam Mayer 23rd. So a lot of them outside of the top 10. More outside than what there are inside. Looks like they're going to another side-by-side commercial break on the CW. For today's NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage, we'll take our field pass and go all the way through the running order for the first time today. Again, currently lap 37. Jesse Love finds himself out in the lead. Justin Allgaier in second. Cole Custer third. Fourth place for Austin Hill. Anthony Alfredo in fifth. Carson Kvapil in sixth. Jeb Burton seventh. Jeremy Clements eighth. Nick Lights in ninth. And Shane Van Gisbergen now 10th. 11th for Riley Herbst. Taylor Gray 12th. AJ Allmendinger in 13th. 14th for Josh Williams. Dean Thompson 15th, Chandler Smith 16th, Sheldon Creed 17th, 18th Eric Almirola, 19th Parker Kligerman, and 20th Sammy Smith. 21st is Sheldon Creed, Parker Kligerman 22nd, Ryan Sieg 23rd, Jordan Anderson 24th, Dylan Lupton 25th, David Starr 26th, Joey Gase 27th, Brandon Poole 28th, Parker Retzlaff 29th, and Kyle Segan 30th. 31st Blaine Perkins, CJ McLaughlin 32nd, Leland Honeyman 33rd, 34th, Carson Ware, Ryan Ellis 35th, Matt DiBenedetto 36th, Tommy Joe Martins 37th, Kyle Weatherman, only driver out of the race, 38th. It seems like during the stage break, he ended up having some sort of mechanical issue, pulled off the track on lap 23. Jesse Love, our current leader, has led the most laps, 22 laps led. Our stage 1 winner, Chandler Smith, led for 7 laps, second most in the race today, only to Love. 3 laps led for Austin Hill, 4 for AJ Allmendinger, 1 for Sam Mayer, 1 for Blaine Perkins, and 1 for Ryan Sieg. And those are all 7 drivers who have led at least 1 lap in this race today. And we've had 10 lead changes so far amongst those 7 different leaders. Had 27 lead changes on the truck race last night, 12 different leaders in that one. Our average race speed to this point, 150.95 miles per hour. Only caution was the lap 25 stage 1 break. And we're just over 40 minutes from the drop of the green flag to where we are right now in lap 40. Be sure to hit the like button on the stream if you haven't done so yet. Again, our goal is 50 likes on the stream. And we are currently at 33 as of this moment. We'll take our second ad break. You're listening live again on KRC, the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff race at Talladega.
All the drama of the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs is now on the CW Network. Your exclusive home to catch the faces of racing's future as they seek to take the lead and etch their names in history. Why is impressive? Catch them on the CW for the rest of the world catches home.
Out in front, Jesse Love continuing to lead. Right behind him, Justin Allgaier in the 7. And then you've got Austin Hill. So RCR right first and third right now. And great success on the super speedway kind of tracks. So we'll see if Jesse Love learned from stage 1 the mistake of getting off the double yellow line.
There's some real momentum being built on this outside lane right now. And Allmendinger a few laps ago made a bold move to get to the top and lead this outside lane. He needs to get to the right rear quarter panel of that 7 car. Doesn't get there that lap or that corner.
The pack dives into turn number 1. Justin Love out in front. Let's bring in from Peacock Pit Box, 2-time Cup Series winner here and Hall of Fame driver, Dale Jarrett. All right, how about these spotters and the work they're putting in today?
Well, it is hard work for those guys up there, but you know, when they get down the backstretch and stuff, they're a long way away, and I think some of these drivers are utilizing that a little too much. Steve brought up a while ago with Jesse Love that maybe he was late reacting. Well, if you're listening to the spotter, as he pointed out, then you are late. You've got to drive these cars yourself and learn. That's what I see now. We have a crash over in 3.
Nick Lights in the 92 goes around and looks as though he collects a couple cars, one of those being the 27 of Jeff Burton.
That was a chain reaction wreck. That wreck started in the first 2 or 3 rows. Jesse Love made a block, got to the outside, that checked everybody up, and then these guys played the price. So see right here, the 16, the 2 had moved up. The 16 catches him quickly, contact. There and all the way back is where the wreck happens.
It's no different than the interstate. Somebody brake checks. The first 2 or 3 cars might catch it, but by it gets to the 5th, 6th car, you see the 92 just has no idea they're going to come back to him that quickly. And then he goes up. Pretty big damage on the 48 of Parker Kligerman, a playoff car that needed a good run. We'll have to see just how damaged it is. Let's go on board with Jeff Burton.
That quickly. That accordion effect.
And it's been that kind of year. So here he goes. Jesse Love does nothing wrong. I want to be clear. He goes up to block this outside lane, but the rate at which they're gaining on him, contacts right there. The 00 gets into 16, and now they all start checking up. Steve, you said it. It's just like a wreck on the interstate. Set 3 times as fast.
We're back at 180 plus miles an hour here at Talladega, and this time only 3 cars caught up. Nick Light to the 92 around. Parker Kligerman caught up in there as well as Jeff Burton.
Those cars are about the 7th, 8th, or 9th place cars in the outside lane of the racetrack where the bottlenecking ended up causing the incident. Justin Allgaier in the lead at the time of the caution. As you see on our leaderboard, currently scored in 2nd place is Austin Hill, Jesse Love 3rd, Anthony Alfredo 4th, and Chandler Smith in 5th. So that is the top 5 on the current leaderboard. We may see pit stops here. They're obviously outside the fuel window. I would imagine drivers at the tail end of the field definitely going to top off on fuel, so that's less fuel they would have to take during the Stage 2 caution. We'll easily get a restart in here with a handful of laps left before the end of Stage 2 yet. Caution initially waived with about 9 laps left in the stage. But I would imagine most of those playoff drivers going to stay out, try to keep themselves in position to get stage points here in Stage 2. No matter what their points predicament is, because you can never have too many points. Obviously, a win guarantees you a spot in the next round, but if you don't get that win, which nobody was able to do last weekend, you might want to get all the points you can while you can get it. We'll take the time to take another break then while we're waiting on this full screen commercial during the caution period. Just our second yellow of the race, our first for incident in the United Rentals 250. Following what was a, looks like 5-car incident listed by NASCAR. Nick Lights, Jeb Burton, Josh Williams, Parker Kligerman, and Dean Thompson were the 5 in Parker Kligerman's race cars as much as what there was on Williams, Lights, and Burton, especially Burton and Lights with the forefront of the damage. Lights is already out of the race following the crash. Jeb Burton still on the tail end of the lead lap along with Parker Kligerman currently working the DVP clock. .50 laps to go. in this short 94-lap, 250-mile NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Talladega Superspeedway. It's our second consecutive race on the CW. They are now back from the commercial break. 6 laps to go in stage 2 as of now. See if they've gotten the 1-to-go signal yet. I don't think so. It would have been a pretty quick caution for where we're at. No, it's still single file, it looks like. Wonder if they've opened pit road yet. I would imagine they probably have. Again, there was 9 laps to go when the caution took place. Though it was 9 to go in turn 3. Pace car would have picked them up, coming to 8 to go. So really, they've only had 2 laps of caution so far. 3 total, but 2 behind the pace car.
Has gone. We could have gotten stage points, so I thought, why not flip it here? Maybe, who knows, with enough caution, we could make it to the end of the race without stopping, Dave.
Marty Parker Kligerman also decided to bring his car to pit road. After the incident, he said nose damage. They brought it down, and it was just minor on the right front. They had to take some time to fix it now. So the car was very loose at the start of the race. He was frustrated with the way it handled to try to work his way to the front, and we could see him getting shuffled back there before this accident. Now he's got to work with the damaged race car. But folks, if you haven't watched a race at a super speedway before, sometimes a damaged race car makes it to victory lane. So we'll see what happens.
A few dents and wrinkled fender.
Alrighty. A couple more reports there. It sounds like Riley Herbst hit pit road. Sounds like he'll be staying out during the stage end. I mean, it will be close. Obviously, everybody that pits during the stage break is going to be even closer on fuel to the end. I mean, you could take the strategy call of pitting here, try to get as much track position as you can, and then you have, obviously, less fuel burnt out of the car. You barely have to put any in it to top off. So, I mean, you could literally come to pit road for like 2 seconds and get quite a bit more track position that way. So that could come into play as well, depending on how many more spots Herbst and some of those other drivers that pitted during this last caution will get. Now, Herbst has actually scored in 17th. I'm not sure how many cars in front of him might have pitted, but obviously everybody behind him in the running order probably did pit as well. There's quite a few on that strategy. Josh Williams, Jeff Burton with damage from the incident are still scored as of right now on the lead lap. So their teams have done a good job repairing their damage and keeping them on the lead lap. It'll be interesting to see if they're still going to be at a quick enough pace to stay with this lead pack, and obviously at minimum speed to be awarded the allotted time there and get rid of that DVP clock. 3 laps under green to meet minimum speed under that rule. 4 laps to go in stage 2 when we restart this time by. This is going to be a sprint to the end of the second stage, and it's going to be hectic. Again, a lot of playoff drivers up here in the top dozen or so in the running order trying to vouch for these top 10 stage points. Got Allgaier up there, Austin Hills up there, Jesse Love, AJ Allmendinger, Cole Custer, Chandler Smith, Almirola for the owner's standing side of things with the 20 car, and Sheldon Creed, Sammy Smith. Those are all drivers in the top 10 in the playoffs. Probably would have been easier to state the non-playoff drivers in the top 10. The only one is Anthony Alfredo restarting in 3rd, inside row 2. Control car is Allgaier, inside row 1. First time we've seen the control car take the inside lane for a restart today. Green flag back in the air. RCR cars, the tandem up on the outside, the 2, the 21. Bump drafting their way through turns 1 and 2. Alfredo down on the bottom of the racetrack, still pushing the 7, center of the corner. Nobody backing off at this moment yet. Trying to stay as square on the back bumper of the car in front of them. Hill and Love are still pushing each other down the backstretch into turn 3, while the 7 had gotten let go from behind. And really, these top 4 are spaced quite a ways ahead of the rest of the pack behind them here. So it's going to be interesting to see where the momentum's going to come on the second lap following the restart. A little bit of lane changing going on further back in the top 5, top 10. Cole Custer stuffed in the middle lane 3 wide with no help. Drops to the tail end of this lead pack and out of the top 10. Hill side by side for the lead. He pulled out of line to get by his teammate Jesse Love. And in doing so, cleared the 16 to the middle groove. Love leads a third lane on the top. Hill was side drafting Allgaier all the way through turns 1 and 2. Allgaier back to the top of the track to try to side draft the 21. Couldn't do it successfully with the 2 pushing the 21 down the backstretch and getting Hill clear. Allgaier went immediately to the bottom as soon as he got cleared by the 21 to get a shove from the 16. An even bigger shove to allow for Allgaier to clear off turn 4 from the bottom lane to the lead. Hill to the top in front of his teammate. Allgaier mirror driving. Trying to control the run, center the tri-oval. Allgaier's quite a ways out ahead of the pack here. 2 to go in the stage. Austin Hill faked the move to the bottom, decided to stay up high. Allgaier went all the way to the bottom. Now back to the top in front of Hill. Hill slingshot move to the inside for the lead off turn 2. Is he clear of the 7? He is barely. That was close. 21 came up as the 7 came down, almost clipped each other. 3 wide middle goes Jesse Love as he hangs out his teammate Hill. Up the middle for the lead to try to win stage 2 on the second to last lap of the stage is Jesse Love. And off turn 4, Austin Hill very loose with the pushes that Chandler Smith has given him. Might have been a move a little too aggressive too early there from Love. As now the RCR teammates split up a minute. Final lap of the stage. Hill to the bottom of the track. That will pick Love up in the draft. Center of the corner. Love may pull clear the 81. But the 81's going to go down, try to side draft the 2 to make sure that doesn't happen. Back straightaway now, side by side for second. Big run for Sammy Smith in the 8 car. Second in line on the top. Shane Van Gisbergen going to go with the 8 of Sammy Smith. Same for Sheldon Creed. And back in the sucker hole in the middle line is Chandler Smith. Sammy Smith with that gigantic shot from SVG pulls him all the way alongside Hill through the middle of 3 and 4. But SVG has then lost the 8 car. Side by side for the race lead at the front of the field. Love gets the push from the 98. Centers that to the back of the 21. And Austin Hill should be able to hold on and win stage 2. A block high and does. Austin Hill wins stage 2 at Talladega. Sammy Smith second by a nose over Jesse Love in third. Fourth for Shane Van Gisbergen and Chandler Smith somehow held on for fifth despite getting put 3 wide middle on the final lap of the stage on the back straightaway. Riley Herbst 6th, AJ Allmendinger in 7th, Sheldon Creed 8th, Cole Custer 9th, and Dylan Lupton rounds out the top 10 in 10th. And that is your stage 2 results and the drivers receiving stage points here in this one. As for Austin Hill, that's going to be the 4th stage win of the season for him. And obviously that'll be a playoff point carrying over into the next round if he advances through the round of 12. Same for obviously Chandler Smith, who won stage 1. Ticker's giving me motion sickness. Yeah, hopefully it's not too distracting for anybody. Guess that's the only thing moving on a regular basis at the bottom of the screen, so it can't be too bad. Fairly clean race so far through the first 2 stages. There was that one 5-car incident there in stage 2, but really it only took 2 cars out of the race. Well, 1 completely out of the race, I should say. The rest at least stayed on the lead lap. So nobody gets the free pass with this caution. Well, I guess technically, the 91 car of Kyle Weatherman. So he had exited from the track at lap 23 during stage 1 and being on the track and nobody else a lap down on track. He does get 2 laps back with these free passes. So 13 more cautions and he'll be back on the lead lap in this race here today. Nick Light's obviously out of the race. Again, he was involved in that wreck at lap 42. And that is the only caution, again, for incident we've seen today. The stage yellow, our second caution of the race so far. A little less than an hour into this one from the drop of the green flag. We are past halfway, just 42 laps to go. By the time we go green for this final restart, probably going to have less than 40 laps left. Could be seeing the final pit stops of the race during this caution period for the stage end. Final stage today, 1 lap shorter than that of what we saw in the truck race yesterday. And we did see green flag pit stops early in the final stage of yesterday's truck race. It'll be interesting to see if we have that again here today, just to ensure that drivers are going to make it to the end on fuel and not have to risk much. But maybe some drivers are going to try to risk it. I mean, we ended up getting cautions in the truck race yesterday, so in hindsight, they probably didn't have to pit. But, I mean, if it goes green all the way to the end, you're probably not going to make it. Or at least you're going to be very, very close into making it. And you don't want to put yourself in that tight of a circumstance if you can help it. We'll go into our Stage 2 diecast showing while we await the pit stops. Again, theme this week, former Talladega winners. And this driver, who is my personal favorite, has 3 career wins at Talladega. 2019 in the fall, 2020 spring, and last year, 2023 in the fall. That being Ryan Blaney. All of them in photo finishes nonetheless as well. Got a similar scheme this weekend with the Pennzoil colors, so this is why I wanted to show this die cast off. This is personally one of my favorites. One with a similar scheme last season. This is from 2018, so it's actually a Ford Fusion. He won with this similar scheme at the Charlotte Roval race that season, his only win of 2018. Back in what was then called the Monster Energy Cup Series. Remember those days? Had the Monster Energy logo on the windshield there. So that is our Stage 2 diecast showing, and we will have our typical Stage 2 diecast showing tomorrow as well. Again, a former Talladega winner for that. You have to let me know, but the CW is blacked out right now for me over the last 30 seconds or so. Let me know for those of you that are actually watching on the CW right now. Oh, there we go. We've got it now. We've got our screen back. Right in time for pit stops.
Field about to come on to Progressive Pit Road, and we'll start with you, Dave.
Rick Stage winner Austin Hill's car is still a handful, but it was much better out front. Or do you just take 2 to save time and get your driver back out front? We'll see what the 21 crew does, Kim.
Top right, Sammy Smith, he said the balance is good, just a little snug on exit. The call, right side tires only. We'll see if they stick with that. Bottom left, Jesse Love. He was reporting really sketchy off the turns, but he can be aggressive because he was tight at the end of the run, so ask for no changes for fresh Goodyear tires, Marty.
Kim, we saw just a moment ago for Chandler Smith on the second most points today, and in about a half to 7th to 5th on that last lap here in Stage 2. Riley Herbst, Brandon Jones, fuel only. Also same for Carson Quapple here on pit road. They win the race off pit road. Great.
And we see that race off Progressive Pit Road. And apparently, because they didn't worry about tires, but maybe that track position will pay off.
That's what CW stands for. Can't watch. That's hilarious, actually. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it keeps cutting in and out. I can tell it's not the internet either on my side of things because it's literally like black screen on CW to not black screen. And that's why when you heard Rick Allen's audio cutting out during the pit stop sequencing there. Same thing. Top 10 on the leaderboard that exited pit road all ended up in the 2-tire right side only strategy or fuel only strategy, most of which taking 2 tires. A couple of them went no tires, so a lot of the drivers restarting deep in the field here probably took 4, want that extra grip for this final stage. We'll take another break. And again, we will continue on to the end of the race here. 40 to go in the United Rentals 250 at Talladega for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I have to go down and get my water. I come back from the commercial break, so I'll let you listen into the audio of the next restart. I'll be back in time before that, but for some reason I did not bring it up with me before the start of the race. I went the first just over an hour into this stream without without any water, so voice is getting a little parched. I was starting to think about it a little bit more when we were getting into the late going of stage 2 there. It's the second stream of the day. I got to make sure I don't lose my voice before the Cup race tomorrow, which is twice the length of this race here today, from 250 to 500 miles. If it works. Yeah, this is true. It might cut out on you. I'll come back and it'll be back on the black screen again. I guess it's good that maybe they're doing this at the end of the season this year so they have fine-tuned for things for next year on the CW. The only bad side of things is it's the worst time of the year to have this happen, considering we're down the home stretch and in the playoffs where races are supposed to matter more. So, I mean, at least it's not the Cup Series, that's having these issues. At least it's on the lower level, but hopefully we don't have many more of these going forward.
And for the start of the final stage in the United Rentals 250 Talladega Super Speedway. And I want to take a look at the Mobile One leaderboard as we get ready for the restart. Riley Herbst up front, Brandon Jones, Carson Quapple, Chandler Smith, and Taylor Gray all a part of the top 5 as we get ready for the choose. So many of you have been watching the news and seeing the devastation in Western North Carolina as well as Eastern Tennessee. Greg Biffle has been giving some amazing shots from his helicopter where he's been going back and forth with supplies and helping those stranded try to evacuate the area. There's just so much devastation and so much help needed. Entire towns have been completely wiped out. And if you'd like to help, we would love for you to go to redcross.org, or you can text Helene to 90999. So much is needed. And we've seen from the different tracks, Charlotte, we've seen it at North Wilkesboro. We've seen right here at Talladega, collecting items for those that have been affected. And so many people are thankful for all that people have given.
It's been incredibly good. It feels great to see so many people step up to try to help those in need. And we all live in the Charlotte area. We're seeing the giving of their time, of the energy around the country. People are giving gifts of all different types, but around our area, the coordination between church groups and NGOs and just volunteers has been incredible. And it's just, when our country gets in trouble, we always find a way to step up, and it's great to see that happening again.
Yeah, anyone who I've spoken to has been there in person just says the pictures don't even do it justice to what it is. And it's such a beautiful area of the country. A lot of us spend time up into the mountains, and it's such a rugged area. Like, there's a lot of towns that, the access is somewhat limited in the best conditions. So I can't even imagine what those towns and those residents are going through in this situation. We just wish them all the best. It's going to be a long road to recovery.
One thing that pulls a lot of us together is sports. And we're getting ready for the restart. It will be the beginning of stage 3. Final stage. Brandon Jones in the 9 on the inside and that yellow number 9. Riley Herbst, the 98 on the outside. Back up through the gears they go. Austin Hill fired back here in 11th. The fight for the lead continues. No help for Brandon Jones on the inside as far as staying up front. He drops back. Riley Herbst tends the lead. We'll see if he starts to move down to that lower line to block. Chandler Smith behind him, giving him a shove.
So many times here, Jeff, with 38 to go, I've seen teams kind of relax and settle in and think they want to just kind of check off the next 20 laps. But if you don't fight for track position now, you may never get a chance. You can fight back to your 20th. Most leaders are not going to give up track position in the closing laps.
That's right. You see some of these guys toward the back of this front pack. The 7-car Valgar jumps out to me. He made it 3 wide on the bottom, all by himself, trying to get that track position back.
The front leaders, the top 3, keep trying to take it all the way to the top to the 3rd lane and get this thing organized. Try to protect Jesse Love. Not so fast. He said that red nose number 2 turns to the bottom of the racetrack.
I saw that inside line being led by Brandon Jones. He wanted to be the leader of that inside line. Right now, the outside line is going to go by him, right? But here comes the 9 car. Here comes the help. Will this work out for Jesse Love? 9 cars hooked up to him now. The 8 car could have gone with the 9. His teammate decided not to.
Shuffles Brandon Jones through the middle, and now he will fall toward the back. We take a look at the Toyota driver update. Chandler Smith running 2nd on that high line. Taylor Gray is 3rd. Sheldon Creed 4th. All taking advantage of that momentum up top.
Brandon Jones jumps in line up top, and I am sure he has some words for his teammate like, buddy, you just cost me 20 spots with 36 to go. You could have just pushed me.
Trust no one.
That's right. You know what? That's the best way. The best restricted play drivers trust no one. I work with Jeff Gordon and Dale Jr., and they didn't pretend that they were out there to help their teammates. They were very vocal that they were going to do whatever they needed to do. As Jesse Love, wow, makes his move to the bottom line.
Aggressively coming back to try to block that lower line. And we heard earlier, Jesse Love said, I need more time to get the nose pointed on the car. Well, that time, he took a hard left to get to the bottom of the racetrack.
But even that move, Rick, was late. Like, that move could have happened 500, 600 feet early. Now, it's easy to say from the booth, but I'm just comparing him to, say, Austin Hill or some of these other drivers. Now, he's a very young driver and has a ton of talent. As this becomes more comfortable and more second nature, it's going to be even more impressive.
And we talked about that move of that 8 car of Sammy Smith taking out his teammate, but look what it did for him. He now is sitting here in 2nd place. So, yes, I mean, you can be mad if you're Brandon Jones, but it worked out for him. If you're Brandon back in that situation again, you put your teammate behind you in a situation. You have to be willing to block him. You cannot let him do that. You cannot trust him, Marty.
Well, you're trying to get the lead back, Jeff, and trying to get that middle lane to work. So, Jeff, when I talked to Riley about how he is studying super speedway racing, he said he watches this angle, the overhead angle from either the helicopter or the blimp. He doesn't watch onboard cameras. He said, I learned so much more having this big view of the racetrack. So as a driver, Jeff, what are you learning when you're watching this big view and not on board with another car?
What you've got to do is, if you're leading the race right now, you can see the bottom lane making a move underneath Jesse Love, but you have to understand how runs happen. Where are they going to come from? How does it build energy? How does it get forward momentum? And if you know that, you can create it, but you also can defend against it. And this is the view, this top view, that you can see that happen.
The top two have separated themselves from the pack, and here comes the pack now. Riley Herbst goes to the back bumper of the two. The 20 of Eric Almirola has not been able to get to that back bumper of the 8 of Sammy Smith yet.
Big aggressive push right here from the 98 to the 2. And it's pushing the 2 out for the lead.
Oh, car pops out of line. I was trying to see. It's a white car, blue roof, 21 of Austin Hill, I believe. Yeah, there you go. Austin Hill. He is driving with that urgency, knowing he needs to be in the front 3 or 4 to win this race.
And interestingly enough, Sheldon Creed is behind him in the 18. I say that because they used to be teammates, and they did not see eye to eye on the racetrack many times over. And now Sheldon Creed is behind Austin Hill.
And SVG in that first car in the middle pack, he's like, all right, I'm doing good. I got a good opportunity here. I'm in the lead in this line. And a lot of the guys he thought were going to be in front of him in the middle jumped to the top.
And this is why drivers get frustrated, because now we're 3 wide. This is rush hour traffic. I mean, where are you going to go when every lane is taken? Sheldon Creed, this would be an exhausting look all day long, just right in the rear bumper of the car in front of you.
And look what he can't see.
Anything else?
He has no idea what's going on directly in front of him. He can see the car that he's pushing, but he can't see what's going on in front of him. And that's where the spotter is so valuable. He needs to be telling the driver what is happening in the parts of the racetrack that he can't see.
It's just like that. The 8 gets hung out, and the 9's back side by side with his teammate.
And SVG tucks in behind the 8. Up front, Jesse Love looking to go sweep here at Talladega.
30 laps to go this time by. The pack is 3 by 3 by 3 from the front of the field to the tail end of the lead group of cars, which now ranges from about the top 25 to 26 positions. And only the top 21 separated by just 1 second on the leaderboard. Jesse Love continues to lead the field, 3 wide from second place on back. Massive run coming now from the 98 of Riley Herbst. And a move to the outside by Love allows for Herbst to lead this lap at the line pretty easily. Down to the bottom, getting pushed by the other black car, the Toyota of Eric Almirola, who has not led yet today, but is up in contention to lead in the late going. We'll go through the full field running order for the final time as of right now and where we stand in this race. Riley Herbst is your race leader. Chandler Smith second. Sammy Smith third. Eric Almirola fourth. Justin Allgaier fifth. Jesse Love sixth. Shane Van Gisbergen seventh. Jordan Anderson is eighth. Look out for him in the late going. AJ Allmendinger ninth and Josh Williams 10th. Sam Mayer 11th. Austin Hill 12th. Carson Kvapil 13th. Ryan Sieg 14th and Sheldon Creed 15th. 16th is Anthony Alfredo. Dylan Lupton 17th. Parker Kligerman 18th. Brandon Jones 19th. Taylor Gray 20th. Dean Thompson 21st. Blaine Perkins 22nd. David Starr 23rd. Cole Custer 24th. And Kyle Sieg 25th. 26th, Matt DiBenedetto. Tommy Joe Martins in 27th. Brendan Poole 28th. Leland Honeyman 29th. Parker Retzlaff 30th. 31st, Joey Gase. Carson Ware 32nd. Ryan Ellis 33rd. 34th, CJ McLaughlin. Last car in the lead lap with damage is Jeb Burton in 35th. As he is really, him and CJ McLaughlin, the only 2 cars not in some sort of drafting pack towards the front of the field. Jeremy Clements is 6 laps down in 36th. Not sure what happened to him exactly. I don't know if he just pulled off the track 6 laps ago, but he is definitely off the lead lap. Kyle Weatherman in this race, 13 laps down in 37th, had a mechanical issue at the end of stage 1. And then Nick Lights is the only driver that is that we know for a fact is out of the race. He was caught up in that incident all the way back on lap 42. So he is out again in 38th. 3 wide and tight for the lead still. That's Sammy Smith in the middle group, Chandler Smith on the outside, and Riley Herbst in the 98 still down to the bottom as he has been for quite some time with Almirola still the trail car behind him. Shane Van Gisbergen, middle groove, and he has a teammate, Josh Williams, just behind him. Herbst clear of the top 2 lanes now in the second place position as Sammy Smith pulled down to the bottom in the center of 3 and 4 right in front of him. Herbst's going to give him a shot. 27 laps to go this time by at the line. We haven't seen the big one. The big one in the truck race yesterday came out with a little over 20 laps to go, and here we are with 27 laps left right now. Shane Van Gisbergen, a massive shot from the 11 of Josh Williams. Sammy Smith saw that, moved up in front of the 97, but the 97 didn't have a lot of help there, so all that did was allow the 98 to keep his momentum up, get alongside Sammy Smith, and now the third lane has an even bigger charge on the outside of both of those cars, and we're back to 3 wide for the lead again at the front of the field. Riley Herbst is out in front, Sammy Smith and Chandler Smith, again the 3 that are 3 wide. Herbst is the one to pull clear off the exit of turn 4 in the bottom lane. Sammy Smith in the middle has still SVG behind him. Jesse Love is in the outside lane. He is the second car behind Chandler Smith, the lead car in that draft. A lot of Chevys up in the top 15 in the running order. The only non-Chevys in the top 15 is the Ford of Herbst leading the way, and the 2 Toyotas up there in the top 5 of Chandler Smith and Eric Almirola. So you see on our leaderboard there are just a ton of bow ties up there. Seems like on the straightaways, the outer lane is the one that has the dominance. Middle of the corner, shortest way around the track. It leads back down to the bottom. In the middle, just kind of varies in a median point between both the corner and the straightaways. Not a lot of lane changing going on from the lead cars in each line at this point. As we start to continue this 3-wide nature, if we get later in this race, you're going to start seeing more of it, but not right now. Still 25 laps to go this time. And Chandler Smith leads. Second, Jesse Love by inches. I don't even know who was third. Looks like Herbst. Herbst and Smith are the same 1,000th of a second at the line. No wonder I couldn't tell who was in third at the line. It was that close. Love clear for second. Goes from the top all the way to the bottom. And that was the first lane change we saw of anybody breaking clear of this pack. First it was Love, and the 81 mirror drove to keep the 2 behind him. 2's got a big run from the 16. Looks to go low. 81 to block. 16 stays high. Does not go with the 2. And the 2 will have to get picked up in the draft by Sammy Smith on the double yellow line in the bottom. AJ Allmendinger stays on the top behind Chandler. And the RCR car split up again because Austin Hill's the 3rd car in line on the outside as he continues to progress forward. Chandler Smith leads this lap of the line. A little bit off the bottom goes Allmendinger, but not really a move with momentum to try to make a shot at the lead. 24 laps left. SVG was just in second place, or second car in the middle groove. And now he's just kind of back in the middle towards the outside of the top 10 all of a sudden with only a few cars behind him. Love Smith went back up to side draft the outside line before going back to the bottom on entry into turn 3. Top 3 or 4 cars single file clear on the top lane of the racetrack. Taylor Gray finds himself in the middle as he got jumped out of line. He just got too far off the wall. Allmendinger slides from the very top lane of the racetrack to the very bottom lane. That will pull the 2 of Jesse Love forward a bit, who was about 3 car lengths off the leader at the time. Now only about a car length and a half off the lead as we're side by side with the 16 and the 81 this time through turns 1 and 2. 81 with the advantage on corner exit. Looks to pull to the bottom of the track, decides to just stay wide. Now pulls to the bottom, middle of the back straightaway. Nope, it's just a bluff, goes back up. 22 laps to go. This time by at Talladega. Chandler Smith trying to lead the way with AJ Allmendinger on the bottom. Third lane Foreman on the outside again. Justin Allgaier, I believe, is the leader in that third line of cars. Looking back, it might be the 5 of Alfredo, actually. Yeah, it looks like it might be the 5 car of Anthony Alfredo, not the 7 of Allgaier. I think Allgaier's trapped down on the W line on the bottom. Allgaier's about the 6 car in line on the inside. SVG still in the middle with Josh Williams. Those 2 colleague cars staying consistent there. Probably boxed in and really have nowhere to go, other than the commitment to stay with each other if a hole does open up. 1 car from the bottom of the 3rd row of cars moves all the way to the top, and then back to the middle. I believe that's rookie Jesse Love making those moves. Now he leads SVG, pulls him forward in the middle line a bit down the backstretch through 3 and 4. Gap building between the 2 and the 97 in the middle, while the outer and bottom lanes continue to progress forward. This time by, it's AJ and Chandler Smith, I believe, still towards the front of the field. 21 laps to go. Again, a win and an advancement to the round of 8 in the playoffs for any one of these 12 playoff drivers. After a non-playoff driver and non-Xfinity Series regular, Eric Almirola won last week at Kansas. And Almirola, to try to go for back-to-back wins, is currently scored in the 7th place position. Top 5 that last time by at the line, AJ Allmendinger by 1/10 of a second advantage over Sammy Smith in second, 2/10 back to Riley Herbst in third. Eric Almirola 2/10 back in fourth. Also 2/10 back with Chandler Smith in fifth. Top 20 still separated by just 1 second from first through 20th. That last time at the line, 20 to go. Allmendinger leads this time. Austin Hill fading, who was second on the outside moments ago. Now he's almost outside the top 10 in the third line. And Riley Herbst leading the second group of cars. Chandler Smith in the 81 is the driver pushing him. 16 clear. And still a 16 on the bottom, while the 98 continues the momentum surge from the 81. Chandler Smith shoves the 98 of Riley Herbst to the lead on the back straightaway. Sheldon Creed pulls to the middle, but nobody's going to go with him from the fourth line behind Allgaier, who was on the bottom moments ago and somehow got all the way to the top line. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did, and now Justin Allgaier in the 7 leads the third line of cars. But as that little bit of 3-wide action was going on, they string together at the front of the field. SVG, big block on the bottom line, and now he's on the apron in the tri-oval. The 26 is sideways. He clips him. SVG back across the racetrack into traffic. Caution is out. Heavy damage for Josh Williams, Taylor Gray as well. I think Jesse Love got through it. And a huge wall of smoke for the rest of the field outside the lead pack to try to nurse their way through traffic. Front end of the 11 of Josh Williams, all sorts of tore up. SVG made a late move to block the inside on the 26 of Dean Thompson. Had turned himself to the apron, and when he was out of the way on the apron, the 26 was still sliding sideways, ended up clipping him. And that shot the 97 back across the racetrack in to the middle of the pack. Heavy damage for the 21 of Austin Hill as well.
All right, well,
let's listen in.
Well, it starts really early and happens later, so let's watch it develop. Watch the 97 car in the middle, contact right there. And again, just a bottle jam. He's on the bottom of the racetrack. 26 trying to slow down. 32 gets in the back of him. Very similar to the wreck we saw before it. Just, you're behind all of it. So watch what happens with the 97. Keep your eyes just on him. The 26 behind him of Dean Thompson. So he moves up the racetrack. Dean tries to get underneath him. Contact. Puts SVG on the bottom. I think Dean Thompson's afraid that SVG is going to come back in front of him. He's starting to check up a little bit, and the guy behind him wasn't.
That's what I think is the big cause of this. Because the 97 has enough grip. He can run the tri-oval on the 8 without a problem and blend on the other side of the tri-oval. But it's the 26, the blue nose car right there. You see his nose. He's like either off the gas or on the brakes, and finally gets spit out of line by the car behind him because I think the car's behind
Jordan
him
Anderson was in
we're
it.
just going to leave the 97 stuck down there. Dean Thompson, not a lot of experience. He's thinking he has to leave a hole for the 97 to come back up, and the 32 just continues to push and push until finally the 26 goes around.
And that's the worst part of the racetrack. Like that end of the racetrack, there's not much banking, and when you're being pushed through that tri-oval, it is very easy to get spun around. Especially on the bottom of the racetrack, there's very little grip down there.
Some big hits right there.
Seen that picture way too many times in my life. And that's what we talk about. That's what every driver's afraid of here. Watch the 21 on the outside. He's nowhere near this wreck, having nothing to do with it. Minding his own business. Boom, there he is, gets caught up in it.
Now, Taylor Gray gets shot up the racetrack into that 21.
And fortunately for the 97, there were cars over it, because that was going to be.
That could have been huge.
I mean, it was already a big hit, but going all the way into the wall at that angle.
So the big one happens here at Talladega, right in the tri-oval, middle of the pack.
Just our second caution for incident today, fourth yellow total in the race. Obviously, we had two stage ends, lap 50, lap 25 in this one. AJ Allmendinger is currently scored as the race leader. Sammy Smith second for the restart. Eric Almirola third. Riley Herbst fourth. Chandler Smith fifth. Sheldon Creed sixth. Carson Quapple seventh. Parker Kligerman eighth. Justin Allgaier ninth. And Anthony Alfredo is 10th. So that will be the top 10 for this next restart. We'll have a little over 10 laps to go when we go green. The last green flag run of the truck race yesterday went 9 laps from green to checker. Caution coming out as the leaders were crossing the start-finish line, but race leader had already gotten to the line before the yellow flag waved, so by my accounts, it ended under green flag conditions under those last 9 laps. And we'll see if we have a similar green flag run to the checker here today as well. Things were going good until they just weren't. The inexperience there for SVG on these super speedway style racetracks, I think, definitely is what was the cause of that incident, that late block on the 26th. And once he was down on the apron, the 26th was still out of the gas or just lost enough momentum from lifting or hitting the brakes with the 97 rather, chopping his nose off. The 32 of Jordan Anderson was the one pushing the 26 on SVG through the block. And it wasn't like he was like all the way from the top, he pulled to the bottom. It was more SVG was kind of floating around in the bottom lane. He moved up off the double yellow line enough that the 26 was there to get underneath him and basically force the 97 back into the middle lane again. And the 97, while running just enough off of the double yellow line to let the car underneath him, tried to close the gap a little too late to keep from getting knocked back in traffic again like he did earlier in this green flag run. Will SVG be out? I would imagine so. He had quite a bit of damage. Billy's Libraries and Arts, XX Larry, Denise Page, thanks for tuning in. You guys are the newest of those in the chat that I haven't shouted out. Looks like SVG, Jordan Anderson, Taylor Gray, Josh Williams will DNF from this crash, maybe more. The list of cars involved in the incident at lap 75 include Taylor Gray, Dean Thompson, Shane Van Gisbergen, Austin Hill, Josh Williams, Jordan Anderson, and Nick Lights. Which Lights was already out of the race. So I don't know why they listed the 92 involved in the wreck. I don't think that's right. He was already out of the race. So minus Nick Lights. 6-car incident. Josh Williams, again, Jordan Anderson, Austin Hill, Shane Van Gisbergen, Dean Thompson, and Taylor Gray. Those were the 6 involved in the crash. Half a dozen. 4 of them out of the race at least. Again, SVG, Anderson, Gray, Williams out. Quite a bit of damage on Hill and others. And we've got some pit stops.
Ready? And the 2 of Jesse Love also on pit road, Kim.
Yeah, Jesse Love making a stop. He just asked to be freed up a little bit on the exit. They will take a little bit of fuel too. They wanted some insurance for the end of the race. As you see, fresh tires going on the right side as well.
16 laps remaining. A lot of damage to the 21 of Austin Hill. Best finish 14th here. Doesn't look like he's going to improve upon that today.
Well, there's possible more wrecking coming. So if they keep this car rolling, there's an opportunity to pick up some spots.
I like what they're doing there, which is taking their time when it sits on pit road. The damaged vehicle clock, which is what expires and takes you out of the race, it is from yellow line to yellow line. So anytime you're on pit road, so if you keep trying to stay on the lead lap, you keep burning time. I think for the 21, it's all about trying to stay in the race more than it is on the lead lap.
We got 3 minutes there, guys.
You heard 3 minutes right there on the radio.
Steve, earlier around, he had smoke in the cockpit. A lot of things dragging there. They said that was from the splitter. So basically trying to get that splitter off the ground in front.
So let's watch this again. Watch the 26 car, the black car, Dean Thompson on the bottom of the racetrack. So they all get kind of stacked up right here. Dean tries to go to the bottom. SVG trying to block it, makes contact. Watch what the pushing from Jordan Anderson, but right now, the 26 car, he started to spin, but just prior to that, he has his left side tires on one side of that seam and the right side tires on the other. On the left side of that seam, there is less banking in the travel. The right side has more. As he's getting pushed, that's the worst possible situation for him. Look at his left side tires. So I was okay right here. Everything's going to work out. But right there, he starts to get pushed, and he is splitting that seam. Left side's less banking than the right side's. That is the worst the car will drive all day. Taking a push there is never a good thing.
And then that shoots the 97 up the racetrack, Steve, as you mentioned, a couple cars up there, luckily. Otherwise, SVG would have taken a head-on collision with that outside wall. Kim, how about the 26?
Yeah, and Dean Thompson adding on the radio that he had to check up and then he was spun, kind of explaining that accident.
We talked about the fact that there are 15 drivers that are in this field that are not full-time racers in the Xfinity Series. And Dean Thompson, this is just his second starts of the year.
Yeah, look, how many wrecks have we seen at Daytona and Talladega? Those kind of wrecks happen with some of the best in the business. You know, it's just a challenging situation racing here.
Jordan Anderson. All right, DJ, this one happened right, well, you're facing the other direction, but it happened in front of you. Let's get your perspective as we have just 15 laps remaining.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things, guys, and you've alluded to a lot of it, but you know, you're getting down to the end. Everybody's trying to move forward, get themselves in position to make the move that they want to, that can give them a better chance at getting a top 5 or maybe even a win out of this. And then you're also racing with drivers that you're not accustomed to racing with. And I think that makes things more difficult. And then we see things like this happen. So you hate to see that, but it's something that we certainly had to expect. And I think you'll probably agree with me. Not the last caution that we're going to see.
A noble prediction there.
Yes, I like to go out on a limb, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, DJ, the most tense time for a driver, for me, was always here and at Daytona, these late race restarts, because you know how aggressive it's going to become, and you're going to have to do things you don't necessarily want to if you want to win.
Yeah, you are going to do that. And, you know, the rule that we talk about here, that they can only lock bumpers for so long, but you're able to go up and run into the back of somebody and push them forward. Those pushes are going to get harder, and that only gets that car in front that's receiving that bump out of control a little bit more. So I think that's going to create some of the issues that we're going to see here, too, because they realize the laps are winding down. We've got to get ourselves going forward more, and everything that we need to do is ramped up.
Getting ready for the choose. It will be 13 laps remaining when we see the green flag as they're choosing the inside or outside line right now. We saw the 97 of Shane Van Gisbergen and his car in the garage area. It's parked now, so he's done for the day. And as he runs, the points now, he is 20 points below the cut line with the Roval next week. Really kind of a must-win situation for him.
Well, and the 21 of Austin Hill is still in the lead lap, so I'm leaving pit road pretty damaged. If he can meet minimum speed, he'll be off the DVP. If we continue to get those wrecks that DJ talked about, that I think we will get, then the 21 can gain some points. And for the 97, I don't know if 20 points is a must-win for a guy that could go win both stages. He can make 20 points on just the stages. So I think drivers instantly throw this must-win around way too soon. I think until you get 30 or 35 points out now, at the end of this could change completely in the next 15 laps. Marty.
We've talked about how the gas pedal is literally burning the right foot of Chandler Smith, who sits in 5th, and that situation has not gotten any better. Listen to the radio.
Mile off steering out of my left earbud, so all I can hear is my right one. I'll have a good idea of what y'all say when I'm racing, but it ain't extremely clear when I'm watching around too.
So what he actually said before that was, my left foot and my right foot has gone completely numb inside the car. He's going to have to be able to tough it out here for the final 14 laps.
14. It'll be 13 when they come back around for the restart. But an uncomfortable situation, obviously, for Chandler Smith behind the wheel of the 81. He's going to be restarting inside the top 5.
Well, 13 to go. We take the green. It's going to be very interesting. See how these teams work. I will tell you, on the last 2 restarts, that locking bumper rule we talk about, I think, has been in question. These guys continue to do it longer and longer and longer.
Push and push and push. It's 13 to go. Great flag back in the air.
13 laps remaining. Sammy Smith on the front row as the starter for the restart. AJ Allmendinger in second. AJ on the inside, Sammy Smith up on the outside. Looks like Eric Almirola in the 20 car was the one pushing the 8. And it looks like a tire rub on the left front fender of the 20 car as he was rolling through the center of the corners. Definitely some damage. I could see a crinkle on the 20's left front fender. Whatever the case is, he ended up losing a lot of ground there along with the car in front of him. And now the top 3 initially from the bottom are the ones to pull clear in front of Sammy Smith and Eric Almirola. Chandler finds his way out of that top group. Sammy Smith got above him. And Chandler Smith pulls back down to the bottom. And now the 20's very slow, as it looks like he's probably got a tire down in the middle of the tri-oval. He'll stay high. Yep, left front tire is down. These high speeds here at Talladega. Obviously a major problem there. Front of the field, we continue to stay green. Side by side. Door to door at the very front of the field. Almirola trying to limp his car back to pit road. Riley Herbst and AJ Allmendinger still side by side for the lead. And entering turn 3. 2 by 2, the front 4 cars at the front of the field. A bit of spacing from 5th, 6th, and 7th on back. This is a pretty tight side draft between Allmendinger and Herbst still. Sheldon Creed in the upper groove with not a lot of help. Ryan Sieg is coming, and he'll give him a shot. Middle of the tri-oval. Jesse Love moves up in front of him. Riley Herbst in the 98 leads that lap at the line. As he's trying to control the pack, and now the caution's out. 5th yellow of the race. Probably debris on the 20, I would imagine. They went as long as they could. But it looks like we probably have a debris yellow, I would imagine. 11 laps to go.
Cars go down that direction, but this means another restart.
It's on a 20 car. You know, with tire smoke, as soon as they drop the green flag on that restart, here's all the debris coming off the race car.
They'll take a jet dryer out there, blow all that debris back into the infield. There it is. It'll be under 10 laps to go. Some of the cars are going to push that debris from the track. When we see the restart here at Talladega, Riley Herbst up front.
This is the...
Well, Riley Herbst leading the way as the caution flag came out behind him. Debris from the 20 of Eric Almirola. He has fallen off the lead lap by the time he got back to pit road, unfortunately for himself there. And obviously, I think with being the cause of the caution, he will not get the free pass. So Almirola remains a lap down to this next restart, which we will have less than 10 laps to go. This debris caution is our 5th caution of the race now. Riley Herbst, our current race leader, has led 4 different times for 12 laps. Tied for the most different times led with AJ Allmendinger and Jesse Love. As Jesse Love has led for 29 laps, most in the race, after starting on the pole. 13 laps led for AJ Allmendinger. 3rd most for Riley Herbst in 2nd. Chandler Smith has led for 11 as well. And again, we had 12 different drivers lead a lap in the Truck Series race yesterday for 27 lead changes. By my count, we are sitting at 11 different drivers who have led a lap in today's Xfinity Series race for 23 lead changes. So we're getting pretty close to those numbers. This race an extra 50 miles compared to the truck race yesterday. Extra 50 miles Also makes up for an extra 9 laps. Top 10 for the next restart is going to be Riley Herbst in the lead, Sammy Smith second, AJ Allmendinger in third, Justin Allgaier fourth, Chandler Smith fifth, Carson Kvapil sixth, Anthony Alfredo seventh, Sam Mayer in eighth, ninth for Jesse Love and Sheldon Creed 10th. Again, that is the top 10 for the next restart. We'll take a quick break and then bring you to the finish. You're listening live to the United Rentals 250 at Talladega for the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
When we get to that, let's go to Dave.
The one before that involved the ever-learning, ever-evolving Shane Van Gisbergen. And on the Super Speedway today, what'd you learn before all that?
Yes, we were pretty loose, so it was pretty tough. WeatherTech Camaro was fast, though. We got some good stage points, stage 2, and was running, up front for that most of that last one. But yeah, just got pushed out of line, put myself in a bad spot, and I thought I saved it, and then there must have been some other stuff happening, and got caught up in it, so that sucked.
And we didn't see this now as a must-win next week at the Roval, but how do you look at it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the points are. We'll see how far in the hole we are, but yeah, just gotta prepare well, turn up with a fast car next week, and get as many points as we can, and hopefully get through okay.
I want to ask you to do the math here, but you're down 22 to the cut line. I know you've studied this a lot and said just how chaotic it is. What's it going to be like next week for you?
Well, tracks like this are different to tracks next week, so hopefully we can have a smooth day, get some stage points, and be there at the end. But yeah, I really wanted to do well today, so got it for the Call of Racing guys.
All right, Shane walked out under his own power. We'll see him next week at his specialty at a street course or an oval, or Rick, you call it both. It's a roval.
It is the Roval, an SVG from New Zealand. Already in the playoffs here in the Xfinity Series. He'll be moving to the Cup Series next year.
Yeah, the Roval next Saturday, 3:30 on CW. It is a different racetrack. They've changed portions of the racetrack. Turn 6 now is a super fast uphill blind right-hand corner, and it leads to basically a 180-degree corner back into what is NASCAR track turn 1. That is completely different than what it has been in the past. And on top of that, the front straightaway chicane, it's been changed. So it's back.
Chief for the 98. How's he feeling?
Let's see how the nerves are in the 98 camp. Davin Restiva, you and I were talking to Riley about how hard he's worked on this Super Speedway program. What does he need to do to finally finish one off and get the win?
I think we're going to need some friends. Right now, we haven't had friends a whole lot all day. They keep shooting us out, but he's done a good job managing his gaps. That's going to be the most important thing right here at the end is manage that gap and make sure we keep that pushing.
So I know putting a lot of effort into a certain discipline, you always want to see the reward. What have you see him do right today?
He's done a lot of stuff right, taking the runs when he should take the runs and pushing when he should push. And, obviously there at the end of stage 2, we weren't going to get stage points, and he did a really heck of a job to get up there and get stage points. That's what we need to do.
All right, so we'll see if he can finish it off. By the way, his dad, Troy, right behind Davin right here, who raced off-road for years. And I turned to Troy a second ago, Rick, and I said, this is nothing like what you did. In your racing career, racing in the desert is nothing like Talladega.
But he has all smiles there. And right now, running in the second spot is Sammy Smith. DJ, what are you thinking about Sammy Smith on the outside of row 1?
I'm thinking about how that could upset the playoff picture if we do. This is the guy that came in the last spot in 12th right now. And looking, he was 23 down to begin this. And he's got an opportunity to do something he hasn't done. Win at one of these racetracks like Talladega and Daytona in drafting. Has he learned enough? He obviously has shown his car's really been good here over the last probably 30 laps of this race. Does he have what it takes to make this happen? But he's got 4 other playoff drivers right there with him that all know that this could move them forward too in the playoffs.
Sammy Smith, a lot riding on this race and these playoffs. If he can advance out of this round, he's got a great shot at the championship, because once he gets to Phoenix, that's a racetrack he's won at before. So if he can advance out of this round, which we just heard DJ say, coming into this race, he was 12th out of the 12 drivers. And again, only the top 8 will advance from this round after the Roval next week. All right, it'll be
7 laps remain and a trip to the round of 8 of the playoffs on the line for those at the front of the field. Riley Herbst, Sammy Smith. Smith came in 12th in the point standings, minus 25 into the day. Can make all that up and then some with a race win. We'll see if he can do it. Green flag back in the air. Sammy Smith, a great push on the outside from Justin Allgaier, his teammate. The two Junior Motorsports Chevrolets trying to work together. Carson Quapple, a third JRM Chevrolet, also in that outside line. Though he separates from the back of the 7 car, single file on the bottom, a lot tighter nose to tail. Allows for the exit of turn 2. Herbst to pull clear. He moved up. So did Chandler Smith. But the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger, who was second in line on the bottom initially in the restart, stayed to the inside. 81 works with the 98 on the back straightaway, and this could get him to second. Now Allmendinger all of a sudden has zero help down on the bottom of the racetrack. Most of the cars are to his outside or already now in front of him off turn 4. AJ needs to find help quickly. Moves to the bottom in front of Sam Mayer. Mayer, the only other car down on the double yellow line right now. Top 5, 6 cars, maybe 7 single file on the outside line near the wall. 6 laps to go for Herbst. Big move to the bottom from 3rd place for Sammy Smith and 3 Junior Motorsports Chevys all working together. Smith, Allgaier, Jones. Bottom of the racetrack to allow Sammy Smith to go from 3rd to 1st in one corner and clear for the lead off turn 2. Middle of the back straightaway continues to hold clear. Riley Herbst on the big block from the middle to the top on Chandler Smith. Same from the top to the middle. And Smith moves down in front of Carson Quapple in the 88 car, who is also in the middle line. Herbst trying to charge forward again. He's side by side for 3rd currently with Brandon Jones. Top 2 cars clear. Sammy Smith, Justin Allgaier. 5 laps to go at the line. I would imagine those 3 Junior Motorsport Chevys are going to try to work together to allow one of these 3 to win. 2 of them are in the playoffs, that being the 8 and the 7 who are 1-2. Brandon Jones has not won in his entire tenure with Junior Motorsports in what is almost 2 complete seasons now. Little separation between the 9 and the 98. That's huge for Riley Herbst, but Justin Allgaier going to cut him off first. With a block to the outside. Further back in the pack, Jesse Love almost scraped the wall off turn 2 if he didn't already. Scattering down to the bottom is Allmendinger and Sam Mayer. Leaving the middle groove open for the 42 of Leland Honeyman. To pull to the back bumper, the 8 now of Sammy Smith. Honeyman would definitely be the underdog in the fight for the win here. Herbst now getting a shot from the 8 car. JRM still 1st, 3rd, and 4th at the line with 4 to go. 2nd place is Riley Herbst, the lone Ford at the front of the field, trying to spoil the party on all the bow ties. Down on the bottom lane of the racetrack, 1-2. Herbst to the top to block Chandler Smith, who's got another surge of momentum up there. 88 of Quapple just behind him. And here comes Herbst. Biggest run he's had after Allgaier for the lead. Goes for it, but the 81 does not go with him from 3rd. 81 pushes the 7. The 7 gets sideways in the middle of the corner. Too deep of a push into turn 3. Saved it up on the outside of the track. Got split 3 wide to the bottom as Herbst takes the lead on the inside. And Chandler Smith in the 2nd lane got clear as well. 3 by 3 from 4th on back through the field. 3 laps to go now for Riley Herbst. Side by side for 2nd. Big wreck. Quapple up into Allgaier. Back across the track. A 3rd JRM Chevy involved of Brandon Jones with a heavy hit into the outside wall. And the big one is out at Talladega. A ton of cars involved in this crash.
Cracking big contact. He was in it late. Cole Custer.
Custer has been trying to avoid problems this race, and now he gets collected.
What he said though was, I've got oil pressure, meaning no damage right now to the oil cooler and anything like that. So if you keep it running, keep it moving, maybe they can get it fixed up and at least call out a decent finish.
It's going to be overtime. Allmendinger with damage.
Quaffle done a nice job. Had himself in good position late in this race. Brandon Jones.
It looked like Carson Quapple got shoved and out of shape and up the racetrack, and that started this. We'll have to take a look at replays, but Cole Custer with a lot of damage.
It happened so quickly. And once again, in the trial, talked about the trial being difficult. The 9 into the back of the 88, everything sorts itself out there. Couldn't really tell if it was just a push gone wrong or the 88 just got loose, but the 88 of Carson Quapple gets turned left, and then it's just a mess. Welcome to Speedway racing.
Looked like AJ Allmendinger got in the back of the 48 too.
Yeah, let's watch this again. Watch the 9 and the 88. So the 88's going to go left right there, and I think that was a push, Steve. I think he got a push from the 9, and when he did, it just kind of shot him to the left into the door, and then all of this happened. Now red flag is out.
Allgaier could not have a bad race here. And then he gets collected.
Yeah, watch that 88. Contact a little bit right there, and then down to the side of the car underneath him, and then up he went. It's the wreck we see over and over at Daytona and Talladega. Just somebody trying to push, and everything's not lined up exactly right.
You're riding along with the 18 of Sheldon Creed there.
Let's look further back in the pack how some of these guys got in this wreck. They're all a lot of them dive to the bottom and they think they're okay. Look at Parker Kligerman. He's like, I'm good.
Until he got collected. The back of that car shot straight up the racetrack.
Yeah, we talk about it all day. The trialable cars just don't drive good through there. This is on the straight. Big hit by Brandon Jones. Gosh. Oh. Unfortunately, the 5, Anthony Alfredo, he's done a good job all day.
I mean, I think that's a little aggressive. The same push that wrecks you is the push you need to win. And that's really where I struggle with this. Now, I've never made laps around Talladega, but I've watched thousands of laps. I've worked with 2 of the best. And I just think that, it's just a numbers game. And you can get 100 pushes, and 98 can be perfect, and 2 could be bad. And do you have enough time, energy, and space to save those 2 pushes? And with 2 to go, why does that not happen at lap 20? Because that push, they breathe the gas a little bit and the push is easier. But with 2 to go, if you don't push, then you're asking the guy after the race, why did you push me?
Right.
We could have gone forward. So the frustration is because drivers like to be in control of their own car. And here, you have to have so much help. I've been crew chief of the receiving team in the wrecks, the ones that get caught up in it, and the ones that get through it. It's just a frustrating style of racing.
So the red flag has been displayed. It will be overtime here at Talladega after track is cleaned up. Crew is doing that right now, but multiple cars involved in this, the big one at Talladega.
I knew that something was different. I knew it, I called it, and look what I found today.
It's Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. Blue Chew?
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. This is the secret. If you don't know, now you know. You can get it on a subscription model, so mine can get delivered every month. And for the ladies, what your man knows, and you're welcome in advance.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month. So switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction. And get 2 unlimited lines for just $30 each. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today.
You like it here in this small town?
The aw shucks and the apple pie. Makes you feel safe. Seems fake to me. Maybe being here will change my mind.
I'm not scared of you.
You're with me.
Feel so bad for John and Jordan. Your dad just died.
The world's without us protected.
I can hang my head.
Not ready yet, you were not lost.
Out there, it's just gonna have to be the three of you. They have to pay for what they did.
You want to wipe out a whole town?
It's a dangerous business being a superhero.
I'm talking.
He left something for all of you.
This is how he saved Dad. Superman and Lois, 2-hour premiere Monday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
Reminder coming up next on the CW is Colorado State and Oregon State. You see Johnny McCoy warming up there. He's already thrown for 571 yards in those 4 games that he played this season. It'll be a great matchup there. Just the 4th time that these two teams have played each other. Again, a reminder, 6:45 kickoff time for that one. So under a red flag condition here, we want to look again at this wreck and how it started.
And we talk about pushes going bad. Happens all the time. But watch right here. Watch a 9 car pushing the 88. I don't know what he's doing wrong, right? He's pushing the 88. He's centered up to the 88 goes to the left. And the 9's not pushing him at an extreme high rate of speed from behind. It's just racing. It's speedway racing. And Steve, you said it really well. If the 9's not pushing right there, when the race is over, they're like, dude, I need you to be pushing me, right? But that's a place where you should be able to push me. We're out of the trial. We're going straight. It's just anytime you're pushing somebody, things can go wrong.
So pushing is important. You can't push and steer, right? And when I look at this right here, the question I have is they're all lined up, right? So when we get to the second replay, when you're from behind, if you use either the dotted line or the pavement seam to see which car moves, it looks like the 88 starts to move left, but I can't tell if that's before or after the push. So right here, when these cars go by and you're going to start to see them from behind, you're going to kind of get a reference using, I think, the dotted white line, and there's also a black paving seam you'll see right near the right side tires. So, right here, they're all starting to go straight. Right there, dead straight, dead straight, dead straight. Maybe the 9 a little right, the 88 a little left. Neither intentionally. And I think one moving right 6 inches and one moving left 6 inches gives you just enough force to spin a car out. I mean, we're breaking it down frame by frame. These guys are doing it at 185 miles an hour. Low motion. I just think that, it's a push gone wrong. A teammate trying to help a teammate.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too. And we heard the spotter say he just drove right through you.
I disagree.
That is not what happened there. That's just one driver trying to help another, to help himself, right? He wants to get that line moving.
And it was teammates. You see the cars involved in the crash, and a lot of those in yellow, playoff drivers. Some Talladega for them.
On a red flag for the big one prior to what is about to be an overtime restart, as we will go past the scheduled distance in today's advertised 94-lap race, 250-mile event here at Talladega for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It's our 6th caution total. It's as many as we saw in the truck race yesterday. And this one, obviously, the biggest one by far we have had today. Drivers involved in the incident would include Brandon Jones, Jesse Love, AJ Allmendinger, Parker Kligerman, Cole Custer, Justin Allgaier, Carson Quapple, Parker Retzlaff, Blaine Perkins. Austin Hill again was involved in this. Anthony Alfredo. And Dylan Lupton in the 15 car today. Those are all the drivers involved in the incidents. Looks like 12 of them total. So 12-car crash at lap 92 with 3 laps to go in the race. And again, we are under red flag for these current conditions for track cleanup. Riley Herbst, the race leader. Chandler Smith, second. Sammy Smith, third at the time of the incident. Red flag has now been lifted. We are back under caution flag conditions. So that is good to see. Not sure on the total time of the red flag at the moment. Minute I have a chance to see that, I'll let you know. But red flag has been lifted during the commercial break, and we'll get this next restart in here shortly. You're listening live on KRC to the United Rentals 250 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Talladega. Also forgot to end the chat poll at 20 to go. I'm used to ending it at the end of stage 2, but we had an issue with it earlier, so I let it go a little longer and ended up letting it go maybe a little too long, but nonetheless, thanks for everybody that voted. 55% of the 58 votes ended up taking somebody other than Creed Love or Hill to win the race today. Jesse Love has led the most laps. I haven't really seen Austin Hill lead much. Same for Sheldon Creed in this one, but Sheldon Creed getting 24% of those votes. 10% for both Jesse Love and Austin Hill. So appreciate everybody that voted in the poll, and other ended up winning of the 37 votes on the poll prior to that. So even if we take the over 90 votes we had, I should say other would have won anyway. And as of right now, Riley Herbst leading the way, and he would fall under that other category. So we'll see if you guys will continue to stay correct as we get to the finish of this race.
8 drivers will advance. 4 will see their championship dreams in. It's NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff racing from the Charlotte Roval. That's next Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific, only on the CW. And they go to work on Allmendinger's car. This will be the 13th overtime finish this season. Are we going to see a record of overtime finishes? There's a lot of races still to go, as there's a lot of work happening on pit road. Look at all the damage to Allgaier in that 7.
Well, you can see, they're trying to get him back out, Steve, there could be more cautions. We already have some guys that are in trouble, and if you can make even 2 laps, it could be a difference in picking up some points.
Marty, how about the 17?
Yeah, Jim Pullman used that red flag very wisely, Rick. He kind of called his whole team up to the top of the pit box where he had pictures of the damage, made a game plan, almost like an offensive coordinator walking his offense through on what they needed to do once they got back on the field. So when the red flag was lifted, they came down pit road immediately and started making repairs. Unfortunately, 3rd straight week for the 7 team that they've had to go through repairs in the middle of the race. And right now, Justin Allgaier, the number 1 seed coming into the playoffs, 1 point below the cut line. We'll see what happens in this overtime restart, Kim.
Yeah, and AJ Allmendinger leaving his box, trying not to go a lap down. They did the same thing. They had pictures of the car and the damage, put a plan in place. Team President Chris Rice got on the radio. They did not want him to come down pit road while it was closed, but AJ said, guys, I know the pictures look like the tires are all up, but it feels like I am going to rip apart this car if I keep it out on the track. He also said he felt like the toe was knocked out. And this team, what a blow for this team. They were more confident coming into this race in the Roval next week. And remember, AJ has not lost an Xfinity Series race at the Roval. But crew chief Alex Jans telling me he felt like the entire field has picked up their game at road courses. You've got SVG in the field. So they actually felt like this was their better chance to win. AJ now with damage, Dave.
So, Kim, what about the 21 of Austin Hill? Yeah, it's banged up, but he was told by his crew chief, Andy Street, there's a lot of chaos out there, a lot of cars that are busted up, and they may not make it to the finish. And if we're playing our cards just right, we might be able to get this car, yes, this one, to a top 10 finish. And Austin agreed. We've seen it before. I think you might see it at the medical center. The car that took the biggest hit on that last wreck, Brandon Jones, he was evaluated and released. NASCAR representative told me he didn't want to speak with us because his voice was gone, had no voice. So, but he's okay. Brandon Jones in the 9 car, he is all right.
That's good news. Parker Kligerman in the 48 also saw him take a pretty good hit as well. Let's listen into the 98 radio of Riley Herbst.
I'm not sure that's helping or hurting the situation. I really don't. those are the situations as a crew chief when, how much do I say? Do I want Riley Herbst focused purely in front to try to win the race on full offense? Do I feel my driver will make a split second better decision on a block, knowing we have to get points? I really don't know. The car behind him, Sammy Smith, even running second right now is only 3 points above. So if I'm the crew chief of the 8, I'm not sure we're having a points conversation. I think this is the 8's race to win and advance. So I might have the opposite. I might tell him, hey, the 98's taking points. Let's not. Let's go ahead and be the aggressor here. Maybe try to change the whole script at the front of this race and see if we can get the 8 to be positive. DJ, I'd like to be the aggressor. I'm not sure if you're the leader. I don't think I can pull the trigger and start coaching you up on points.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at this point in time. I mean, you have an opportunity to move yourself right on through right here. And I think as far as Sammy Smith goes, yeah, he's had a good points day, or it's looking like with all the troubles that others have had, that he could be inside that top 8. But I wouldn't want to take that chance either. I'm going after the win. As we look at the rundown in this top 5 right here, I realize that 5 of the top 6 are all battling for the playoffs. But how about Leland Honeyman right there? He finished 4th here earlier this year. He said during our qualifying show earlier today that the only thing that he wanted to do was improve that 4th place finish, possibly with a win. He might be the outlier here that either pushes someone or gets the right push at the right time.
Nothing to lose. We just talked about it, Steve. Letting Riley Herbst know other guys are in trouble. Sammy Smith, he's in a position where he could gain points. Chandler Smith, he's in great shape. Is he willing to make a gamble? Sheldon Creed, Jesse Love, are any of those guys willing to do the things that Leland Honeyman will? Because that guy's going to do whatever it takes to win this race. These other guys have a consequence if things don't go well.
19-year-old youth, exuberance, excitement out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, there's also a drive for the guy who's driving this car right now, Sheldon Creed. He's in another position where he could win a race. He has not done it yet in the Xfinity Series, and he can see the front. He can see the checkered flag. It's a 2-lap shootout here to find out who's going to win. A playoff driver that wins, they advance to the next round automatically, but points are important. So that's the dilemma that we're in right now.
I'm a little surprised, too, of Love. You see him right there. The 6th car in line. Look at the damage to the right front of this. He was kind of in this wreck. And with the damage to the right front, an exposed right front tire, I guess it's not going to rub. They probably took some pictures of it, and the crew determined they were okay. But surprised he didn't come down pit road and to the service of his crew. But I think that shows you that, the points are more available or more important.
Here's the choose. It'll be Herbst and Sammy Smith making up row 1.
Interesting move by Honeyman to stay on the inside and line up in the 3rd row.
Marty, what about Chandler Smith in that 81?
Oh, it's been the exact day that they needed so far. 2nd most points earned for Chandler Smith, who sits in 3rd right now. In fact, a moment ago, Jeff Bendring, his crew chief, came on the radio and said, listen, everything from here is house money. Right now, other than Riley Herbst, he is number 2, as you see right there, plus 68 above the cut line. If he leaves 56 points ahead of 8th in the playoff standings, he'll already lock into the round of 8, one race early, Kim.
Well, what about playoff driver Sam Mayer in row 4? Currently, as it stands, plus 27 points. Here was the conversation on how the rest of the race is going to play out for them.
Right here, we got
So as you heard right there, do we race or do we lay back? It sounds like crew chief Marty Lindley wants his driver to be as aggressive as possible.
We talk about, and that was a great conversation, we talk about the decisions that these drivers have to make based on the situations they're in for points, not points, etc. Let's remember, Riley Herbst is 25 years old. Sammy Smith, 20 years old. Chandler Smith, 22. Honeyman, 19. Creed is a senior veteran, 27 years old. So a lot of youth. And with youth, we typically in race car drivers don't get exactly the best decisions in the world. So let's see what happens here.
All right, overtime restart number 1 coming up. Pace car pulling to pit road. Sammy Smith, Riley Herbst on the front row. Herbst the control car down on the bottom. We've seen turns 1 and 2. We'll see if that will be the case again. Here we go. Green flag is in the air at Talladega. Riley Herbst leads the way into turns 1 and 2 with a nose out in front of the 8 of Sammy Smith. Having the inside line advantage. Will it be the advantage still off the exit of the corner? Only the top 2 rows of cars are now clear. Big gap building up between 5th, 6th behind the 3rd and 4th place cars. Herbst down on the bottom of the track. Sammy Smith up high, still door-to-door for the lead. Entering turn 3. Drafting partner lost on the 8 of Sammy Smith. Riley Herbst in the 98 car is clear. Smith was able to pull in line in 3rd behind Chandler off the exit of turn 4. Single file, top 4 cars. Sheldon Creed pulled off the 4th place position from the inside to the top. Now gets blocked by his teammate Chandler Smith in the 3rd lane. 3 wide from 2nd on back. Herbst leads. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Sammy Smith down to the bottom of the racetrack looking to take the lead. Big block by Ryan Sieg to pull in line for the 2nd car in the bottom. And up the middle goes Chandler Smith for the lead. 3 wide. Riley Herbst has no drafting help as he falls backwards. Got to get a big push now from Jeb Burton, who has damage from an earlier incident. And Herbst has a huge surge of momentum yet again. Trams it into the back of the 81. Doesn't launch him that far forward, though. Still side by side for the lead. Sammy Smith on the bottom and Chandler Smith up high. Door to door as they exit turn 4. This is the race for the win and a spot in the next round of the playoffs. Ryan Sieg, non-playoff driver, down on the bottom. He pushes Sammy Smith to the lead off turn 4. Chandler goes high to block the 98. Still clear for the race lead. Exiting the tri-oval is Sammy Smith. Herbst moves to the top. Checkered flag in the air, and it's Sammy Smith winning as Sheldon Creed spins across the line further back. Still ends up with a top 5 and 4th. But Sammy Smith with his first win since Phoenix last spring is going to go to victory lane and the first time in the 8 car for Junior Motorsports. He came in 12th of the 12 playoff drivers today, minus 25 points below the cut line. He was +3 as with clutch victory. Sammy Smith with the race win, margin of victory 1/10 of a second over Ryan Sieg, who ends up 2nd, still waiting for his first career win. Riley Herbst in 3rd, Sheldon Creed 4th, spinning across the line nonetheless for Creed. Chandler Smith 5th. Jesse Love from the pole finishes 6th, Jeb Burton 7th, David Starr 8th, good run for him, Brennan Poole 9th, and Kyle Sieg 10th. Few underdogs there in the back half of the top 10. AJ Allmendinger in 11th, Parker Kligerman 12th, Tommy Joe Martins 13th, Leland Honeyman 14th. And Honeyman actually restarted in 6th, so he fell way back that last restart to end up in 14th. Again, Ryan Ellis 15th, Sam Mayer 16th, Matt DiBenedetto 17th. 18th for CJ McLaughlin, Bladen Perkins 19th, and Eric Almirola in 20th. Check this, top 17 finished within 0.6 of a second of each other. Crazy. In that overtime restart, how quickly they got 3 by 3. Pretty much at the end of that first lap, they were 3 by 3 for 2nd. Herbst led coming to the white flag, ends up 3rd, so it scored as a last lap pass for the win. Outside the top 20, we got Dean Thompson finishing 21st, Joey Gase 22nd, Carson Ware 23rd, Austin Hill, last car in the lead lap, in 24th, involved in multiple incidences today. Dylan Lupton in 25th, Justin Allgaier 26th, Cole Custer 27th, all finished a lap down. And then out of the race from 28th on back, Carson Quapple finishing 28th, 29th for Brandon Jones, Anthony Alfredo 30th, Parker Retzlaff 31st, Kyle Weatherman 32nd, Taylor Gray 33rd. 34th for Jordan Anderson, Josh Williams 35th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 36th, Jeremy Clements 37th, and Nick Lights 38th, rounding out the field. Sammy Smith led 5 different times, 5 laps led. How about that? He literally, every single time he led today with 1 lap at a time, including the final lap with that last lap pass for the win. We had 11 different drivers lead at least 1 lap in the race today. And we ended up having exactly the same amount of lead changes as we did yesterday in the truck race, 27. 1 less leader than we had yesterday, but 27 lead changes, same as the truck race. 6 cautions total, 1 red flag. Not sure on the amount of time that red flag ended up taking up. Here's your race winner, Sammy Smith, meanwhile.
You came in here 12th in the playoff standings. How did you get it done today?
Yeah, just a great team. My sponsors, everybody that stuck with us. It's been a really tough year. But thank you to TMC, Flying J, all CPU Boat Group, Render Group, Golden Harvest, a lot of them to thank. Chevy, JRM, all my guys, Philip, Tyler Mon, he did a really great job today helping me. It's been a while and it's been a struggle, but I'm very happy to be here and looking forward to hopefully go getting better on these ovals and road courses.
You mentioned your spotter, Tyler Mon. What about your team owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr.? The booth talked about how you sat down with him to learn this style of racing. What kind of knowledge did he impart on you?
Yeah, we did. We sat down with him, I think it was Wednesday, and it wasn't a whole lot, just kind of some stuff he would do in those situations. But man, feels really good to win again.
Welcome to the round of 8.
Thank you.
Sammy Smith is a winner at Talladega in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Hey, Sammy Smith.
Again, just a second career win for Sammy Smith in the Xfinity Series level. His first was with JGR last season in the 18 car at Phoenix in the spring. 4th race of the season last year. This year, he doesn't win until that following season, obviously, in the 5th to last race of the season. Our new point standings exiting today's race is now on the CW, I should say, graphic screen. Chandler Smith plus 57 points above the cut line. Sammy Smith with the win, obviously locked into the next round. Austin Hill plus 29, plus 28 for Cole Custer. Plus, give me 1 second, I got to plug my laptop in. Behind Custer, 5th in points would be Sheldon Creed. Sheldon Creed is currently plus 25. Plus 15 for Jesse Love, plus 13 for Riley Herbst. Sam Mayer plus 10. Justin Allgaier minus 18, minus 21 for Shane Van Gisbergen, and minus 26 for Parker Kligerman. It is worth noting, Sam Mayer was plus 23 points into that final restart. He fell back to 16th, and now he's only plus 10. And obviously, Sammy Smith was below him in points, so with that win, that projected him forward as well. So that also hurt Sam Mayer with his teammate going to victory lane here this afternoon. 24 cars finished on the lead lap. Our average race speed today, 127.73 miles per hour. 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 10 seconds total time on the race. We went 4 laps past the scheduled distance of originally scheduled 250 on the mileage. 94 laps, so 98 laps scored in this one. We had a red flag against 6 cautions. And Sammy Smith led just 5 laps in this race today. Most laps led goes to Jesse Love, who led 29 laps. And our 2 stage winners this afternoon, Chandler Smith won Stage 1, leading 11 laps. Stage 2 was won by, let's see. Got to remember back to who won Stage 2. Was it Justin Allgaier? No, it was not Allgaier. Riley Herbst, I think. Who won Stage 2 in this race? I can't remember for the life of me here. I think it was, I don't know, whoever it was, congratulations to them as well, I guess. Our 4 drivers below the cut line as we enter next weekend's race at the Roval. I'm sorry, I got to get going here, so my brain's kind of scattered right now. AJ Allmendinger, minus 10 points below the cutoff line going into next week at the Roval. He has never lost at the Roval in his Xfinity Series competition, so that'll be interesting. Justin Allgaier, minus 18. He was 2nd in the regular season standings, and now he's 10th right now in these standings. Shane Van Gisbergen came out minus 21 points. He came into today plus 8. We know he's great on road courses, excuse me. And Parker Kligerman, minus 26. Has also had great runs on road courses. There was Xfinity Series tenure in that 48 car. But I think he's probably going to have the biggest hill to climb for sure. Definitely on the point side of things mathematically and equipment-wise as well as we go into next week. But it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes up. I think it's going to be interesting, though. You got a lot of really good guys who can go out and win next weekend below the cutoff line. So it's interesting. Appreciate everybody tuning in for this live commentary stream of the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Talladega right here on KRC. For more live commentary, we have live streams every day, but live commentary streams like this every NASCAR race weekend for Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series races, as well as Cup practice and qualifying streams. This is our second stream of the day, our third of the weekend. We did Cup qualifying earlier, Truck race obviously yesterday afternoon. We have the main event tomorrow with the NASCAR Cup Series. Our coverage for that will begin at 1:30 p.m. Eastern with our pre-race. Hope to see you then. Sorry there's no more post-race interviews on this. I really got to get going. Appreciate everybody for tuning into this one and understanding there. And I will see you guys back and better than ever tomorrow afternoon. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for watching. I will also have a video out on the finish of this race with my commentary sometime tomorrow morning as well. So just an update on that that you can look out for. But again, thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your Saturday, everyone. Go Blue!